And we are live. The theme song, as always, is not working, so we can get it going. Hey guys, welcome back to the Adler podcast. Today is episode 51 of the podcast, and I'm excited to welcome Marisabelle Grech to the show. Marisabelle, who is a filmmaker, actress, and budding director. How's it going, Marisabelle? Good to have you
Very
on the show.
good. Thanks, Andrea, for having me.
Yes, it's good to have you here. Obviously, Marisabelle, I'm sure you're very excited about tomorrow's video nasties. How do you feel about that?
Very excited. The first one was a thrilling experience, and tomorrow for sure is going to be another one. So
Definitely. I'm currently preparing questions for everyone.
I'm looking forward to the Q&A, in fact.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one. Hopefully, the audience can help me as well with some of the questions, but I've got a lot of questions prepared, so we should be good. But I'm looking forward to that because tomorrow, me, Marisabelle, and obviously everyone who participated in Video Nasties will be at Eden. We have, I think it was 6 movies, Marisabelle. I believe it was six movies in total at Video Nasties.
Yes, and there were
Around
a
6,
few
yeah.
that were not in the competition. Let's say.
Yeah, then there's going to be Bruce's movie. There's
The
the
ambush.
zombie action one, Ambush. Yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
So obviously those weren't participating in the competition. But in our case, I'll obviously be asking loads of questions to our directors, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very excited for that, and that is tomorrow. But today we have episode 51 of the Adler podcast, and I think it's time for me to introduce all the different topics we will be talking about, because this week we've got quite a few trailers to talk about. We've got actually 4. We've got a trailer for Masters of the Air, which is another Apple TV Plus series coming out. Coincidentally, I was just finishing off another Apple TV Plus series, which I'll talk about in a bit. We've got a trailer for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is going to be a Prime Video series. Interesting to see that. And also we'll be looking at I.S.S., which is a movie starring Ariana DeBose. We've also got the, by now, very famous GTA 6 trailer. We'll have a look at that. And after the trailers, we've got quite a lot of news, because with regard to the news, we've got the Oscars Visual Effects Finalists, which are, strangely enough, missing Oppenheimer. I was shocked to see that.
It's missing.
Yes, it's not in the list. They're not Oppenheimer didn't even make the top 20 visual effects shortlist for the Oscars. I don't get how that can ever exist. And then when we look at the movies which are in the list, some of them are shocking.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll get into that later on. We've got the Game Awards, 2023 Game Awards. We've got quite a lot of big announcements at the Game Awards as well. We'll be talking about Marvel's Blade, Light No Fire. We've got a Jurassic Park game as well, and so much more, also including a video game collaboration between Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele, which I think will be very interesting for fans of horror. And that will then lead us on to the Golden Globe nominations. The Golden Globe nominations, which came out this morning. It's basically, I just had a quick look at them, Marisabelle, like literally just skimmed through them. Saw a few that I was excited about, saw a few which I couldn't really understand, but we'll discuss that as well. And to conclude, then we have our reviews. We've got Leave the World Behind to review, and we've also got Wonka. So that is the plan of action for today. And with that, let's move on to the sponsored section of the podcast, because thank you to Embassy for sponsoring this show. And Embassy Cinemas, always my choice of cinema. Right now, we can see actually what's coming soon. We've got quite a few movies coming out. We've got Journey to Bethlehem. We've got Aquaman, which is coming out, I believe, on the 22nd of December, 22nd or 25th. I'm not sure. We've got Ferrari. I'm very excited to watch Ferrari, Michael Mann's next movie. Wonka, which I got to watch last week with the early release, which I believe is coming out on Wednesday. And those are some movies which are coming out soon. In the meantime, if you're looking to go watch something at the cinema, how about a trip to the cinema to watch Napoleon? Marisabelle, have you watched Napoleon?
Oh, no, I haven't. And my plan is to go watch it possibly next weekend.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one to watch at the cinema. Very popular. I mean, the cinemas have been packed, and I've gone once, but and every person I've spoken to who has been to the cinema to watch Napoleon basically told me the cinema was packed. So Malta is doing really well. Lots of people are going to watch it. Wish, which I reviewed last week, which is a Disney animated movie. Wonka, which, like I said, comes out on Wednesday, 13 December. I'll be reviewing that later on, but highly, highly, highly recommended. A bit of a spoiler for my review here. Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Marisabelle, are you a fan of the Hunger Games movies?
I have to say yes, because they never fail to deliver. They have become quite a very good franchise of movies, and this time around we don't have our Jennifer Lawrence, so that's going to be an interesting movie to watch without the usual face that we're familiar with.
Yes.
So I'm curious how it's going to look.
We'll be talking about Jennifer Lawrence later on when we talk about the Golden Globe nominations. There's a very interesting nomination there. With regard to Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I had a really good time watching it, I have to admit. I was a little worried, like you, I was a little worried about the fact that there's no Jennifer Lawrence. But I think Rachel Ziegler and Tom Blythe, they really pull it off. So there's great chemistry going on there. I highly recommend going to watch it, Hunger Games. And it's a very, very, very good movie. The Marvels, which has been in the news for good and bad, mostly bad, unfortunately, I have to say, because it's one of the. It's not. I watched it. It's not a bad movie at all. I actually quite enjoyed watching it. The action is really well directed. Unfortunately, people just don't seem to be going to the cinema to go watch it, especially in America.
Okay.
No one seems to be interested now. Whether that is superhero fatigue, whether it's too many Marvel movies and series piling up. I think it's a combination of everything, to be honest. But not doing too well at the box office, the Marvels. And to conclude, we've got a few for the kids. We've got Five Nights at Freddy's, which I think is concluding this week, which has done very, very well at the box office, which has also been Blumhouse's most successful movie release at the cinemas to date. And Trolls Band Together, which is concluding tomorrow as well. That's also one for the family. So thank you to NBC Cinemas for sponsoring this podcast. And with that, Marisabelle, the spotlight is on you. So to start off, Marisabelle, we always like to ask this. What was it, Marisabelle, that like inspired you? Now you can tell me one movie, a number of movies, maybe a person, maybe a director, anything you want. What was it that inspired you to get into cinema? Let's start off with that.
Okay, so when I was 5, I actually watched the movie Matilda, based on the novel of Roald Dahl, and it's kind of it's basically because at the time I wanted to believe that magic existed, and in my innocence, I understood that magic wasn't possible because I wasn't moving objects just by thinking it, and so I realized that actually movies are the real magic that we can create. And by seeing this 5-year-old who had a similar haircut as myself at the time, I was like, okay, maybe if I enter myself into movies and acting and storytelling, then I can create my own version of magic. And that is where it started. So it's been a lifelong thing at this point.
Nice. Very good. Very good. By the way, to all our viewers and listeners, welcome to the podcast. I'm sure there are some new viewers and listeners today. And if you have any questions for Marisabelle, please comment in the comment section below. You've got the chat over there, and comment over there with any questions you have for Marisabelle. And moving on, Marisabelle, what was your first experience of a movie or series, whatever, in local work here in Malta?
The first experience?
Yes.
Well, I have done quite a few. To remember the first one, I have been in Bharat, it's the Indian one. I've been in Jurassic World Dominion. I was crew on that. I have worked in the local one strip, which I did both storyboarding for it and also acted in it. I had a very small role. So I've been in and out of the set for quite a while. I think since 2017. So yes.
Nice. How was your experience with Strip? I remember reviewing that movie.
Uh-huh.
That was a controversial one.
Yes, it is a controversial one, but it's. I think when there is controversy, there's also some kind of discussion and debate, and it's made for that, and it's very interesting in that way. It was a very interesting movie to be part of. The director himself is very visionary in his own way, and I enjoy working with people that inspire and inspire creativity more than anything. So it's good to work with people who have that spark, and we have a good local um, field of people who actually want to work in this creative way. So yes, I would say it was a good movie to be part of.
Great stuff. By the way, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, especially we have some foreign listeners and viewers as well here. This is the movie we're talking about, Strip Rajao Saro Velanusi, which is based on the novel by Alex Vellager. I still have to read the book. Shame on me, I haven't read the books. Moving on, Marisabelle, to your own short. I believe this is your first actual movie, right? This is your debut.
Yes, yes.
And here we're talking about, obviously, Private Party, which I got to talk about as well a few weeks ago on the podcast. So, first, let's start off. Marisabelle, what is Private Party all about?
So basically, it's about a young woman, Deborah. She's preparing to meet her friend and who cancels on her last minute. In the meantime, she was ignoring her old friend, Zach, who was asking her to go out to this networking event out of the blue. And when her friend cancels, she says, okay, why not? I'm going to go. I don't have anything to do. And basically she goes, and something happens at this private event because she was going to leave and something bad happens. So it was my first, it is my first short movie that I have created. I'm very happy that I have managed to do it with the support of a good group of friends who I am very happy to call as cast and crew as well. And I call it as a team effort. There's a lot for me to learn, and it was a good experience for me to get myself outside of my comfort zone more than anything. So I saw that as an exam in a way.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So one of the things we really liked about Private Party, both me and Franco mentioned this, was the location, the set you used there. Can you tell us where that was?
Yes, that was Castello dei Baroni. So it's a funny story with regards to the location. I was searching everywhere to book a space that would fit the vibe, which I'm grateful that Castello dei Baroni fitted to the point. But most places were telling me that because I was not a high budget profile production, they were not keen on renting. So the fact that I managed is a miracle in itself, and I'm grateful for it.
Nice, good stuff, good stuff. Sometimes, Astra, when you have like a small budget work going on, you need miracles, to be honest, to get it done.
Yes.
You really need miracles. You need friends to help you, which is an unfortunate reality of making a small budget short movie. You need friends to help you. You need to have contacts, and you need to be lucky. And if all three worked, and you managed to combine all three, you managed to create a short movie like Private Party. Moving on to Private Party. So, what would you describe, Marisabelle, would be the main theme of your movie? Actually, I'm spoiling some of the questions I'm going to ask tomorrow.
So the main theme, the genre itself is a psychological thriller. And the main theme is really, I think it's a question about loyalty and the question of wanting to be good, because let me spoil a little bit about the movie itself as well myself, is that basically Deborah, she is faced with saving herself in a situation of danger, and she decides to go and save her friend Zach, who's not really someone that she should feel loyal to, because it's someone who she hasn't hung out with, met for many years. But because of this bond of knowing each other, just simply for that purpose, she decides to go and save Zach. And when she's faced with this question of why are you saving this person, then you have no need to be loyal. But there is this question of wanting to be good. And in a world in which people are very self-serving and just look out for themselves only. So I think it's about trying to bring some kind of moral that, you know, at the end of the day, maybe we should be good.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. And obviously, Bruce is a good friend of mine. By now, we know each other very well. But how was it working with Bruce?
Very good. I mean, usually Bruce is used to being the director. So for him, it was a first-time experience also to act. It's funny to say he is actually from Sleeman. I told him to basically exacerbate his Sleemanness, and he took it. He took it and ran with it, and he did a good job about it. It was funny. At one point, I told him to flirt. I mean, throughout the movie, I was telling him to flirt with my two friends. I told him to brag about NFTs and everything. It was perfect. So it was funny. It was just funny to make a parody out of certain stuff that we have in Malta, because this movie is also a parody of certain aspects of Malta, to be honest, which is funny to do.
Yeah. So Bruce, I think, makes a very, very realistic and very good crypto bro. I think he did a very good job there. And that's something else I was going to mention, but you mentioned it already, like the exaggeration in characters like Bruce's, for example, and the reason behind it, which is obviously to emphasize certain humorous aspects and obviously the realities as well of Malta right now with all the NFTs and cryptocurrency and whatnot. One final question about Private Party. One other thing I really liked about Private Party was the lighting and the way you captured the scenes. I think it was beautifully done. And that's one of the big positives for your movie, Marisabelle.
Thank you.
What would you say was the thought process behind it?
So while I was preparing for the movie, I was studying other movies which I was inspired by, and other directors and other scenes that I have seen that made sense for the vibe of Private Party. I wanted something very dramatic. So this was for a horror film festival, but I didn't want it to be the kind of horror that you have a ghost coming and people are screaming. This was supposed to be like a little bit of a drama, that something is bound to happen, and what happens next, and how can you save yourself. And so the characters and the color schemes were made on purpose in a way that is going to be all cohesive together with the composition and everything. And there were other elements that I wanted to put in and everything, but seeing that it's a short movie at the end of the day, I had to pick and choose the strongest and just run with it, basically.
Great stuff. Like I said, the coloring, the lighting, composition, everything about it, I really liked it. And for a debut, it's really impressive stuff.
Thank you.
With that, Marisabelle, let's talk about the future. So, the most generic question ever. What's next?
So, I'm currently part of a local production group. It's called Triangle Films. And in fact, recently I have also produced a music video together with the director Jeremy Vella. And I am sure you're going to be seeing something exciting happening with his work, and I'll be producing and co-producing with him. And then hopefully I have some stories which I would like to see happening in the pipeline in 2024. So I'm excited as well to see what creativity and projects I can showcase next year.
Nice. Yeah. Looking forward to that. And Bruce in the chat, thanking you, Marisabelle, saying she really enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm not seeing the comments, by the way, so if someone writes...
No, I'll read out the comments. I'll read out the comments when they come out. And Bruce, obviously, we're all excited for tomorrow, Bruce,
Yes.
for Videos Nasties Resurrected. Looking forward for the Q&A. I'm really excited for that. And also to get to watch, all your, because this is something, Marisabelle, I don't know if you remember when I was introducing like the show and everything. I mentioned that obviously when we got to review your movies, we watch them on small screens, which is its own experience, right? I mean, a lot of critics do that. I mean, they watch these massive, big budget movies on small screens, and it's the same case here. I had to watch your movies on a small screen. Watching it then on a big screen, in that case it was Spazio, was its own experience, and not only on a big screen, but with an audience where you have reactions by people laughing, people gasping, people, those reactions. And this is something I want to emphasize tomorrow. It's just watching a movie can be such a different experience when you're watching it in a cinema. I adore the cinema experience, so I'm really looking forward to watching it tomorrow again, with an even bigger audience, which I'm very much excited for. So, Marisabelle, I hope you too. I'm sure you're excited for that as well.
I am. And I mean, in a way, it's like a mini red carpet event. I mean, this is all kudos to the fact that, when you have someone like Bruce, and also when we have a passion for something, this is where Video Nasties came from, I believe, and Bruce can write in the comments. So basically, when you have a project in your mind and you want to share, and create something and inspire creativity, and then bigger things happen. Like, for example, some years ago during COVID, I started organizing together with my friend and actor Mike West. We were organizing acting courses, because we were seeing that in Malta we don't have acting courses for adults as much as there are for children and teenagers. So by doing something because you're passionate about it, then things grow. And this is where Video Nasties is about. It's about creating together. And that's why tomorrow is exciting, because you're seeing something growing from a smaller event, from an idea to being actualized, and seeing people actually collaborating together, which I think is the purpose of it as well.
Exactly. And it's basically what we're doing here as well. Because if you want to work in this industry in Malta, I mean, it's passion, right? It's you live off passion, basically.
Yes.
We've on this podcast we've talked about this numerous times. Franco isn't here to push that argument more, because he's one who really pushes for more funding. We need more money, which is true, which is 100% true. But I mean, right now, passion is all we have.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we have. And passion, and like I said before, friends who help you, your passion and your motivation, and then the satisfaction of a job well done, basically, after. Hopefully we can transition from that to a more professional world in the near future. But that is obviously not something we can really control ourselves. And with that, Marisabelle, I'm going to move on now and ask you, what have you been watching recently? Any special stuff you've been watching? Series, movies?
Yes. Recently, I started watching The Office, the American one, and I know I should have watched it years ago. But I have to say, I'm one of those people who watch almost everything, but this one kind of escaped me, and I was seeing bits and pieces either on Instagram or on YouTube, and finally I got myself watching, and I find it so hilarious. I just stay laughing in it all the time. So I can't not recommend it enough. It's funny.
I've never watched The Office.
Oh my
shame
God.
on me.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. I love also Friends. I watched a bit of Seinfeld recently, some months ago. I have to say, I'm in love with The Office, and I can't wait to go back to watching it. Yes. So that's
What about movies?
movies. I have watched one recently at the cinema. It was kind of dark, and it was not my cup of tea because it was so dark. It was the one that was talking about child trafficking. I forgot its name, to be honest.
Sound of Freedom.
Yes, that one. It was
Coincidentally, I watched that with Bruce. We went to watch it together.
Okay. So basically, it's a very dark topic, but also a very good topic to talk about. Despite that, of course, especially because of that, actually,
Hmm.
um, it's an important thing to have spoken about, because we need to really take care of the safety of children. I'm not really keen about posting photos of children online, for example, because you don't know who is watching.
Hmm.
Like, there could be people who want to, um, just simply because they can't have children, they want to steal children of someone else. Um, so I think safety online is very important, and I think in Malta, in a way, we're kind of sheltered enough, though, not to worry so much, because Malta is quite a safe country, so at least we can be happy about that.
That's very true. That's very true. So I mean, I don't know if there have ever been any cases in Malta of like literal child trafficking taking place. I'm not sure about that. That could be
Uh,
completely false.
Same here, but at least in comparison with bigger countries, much bigger countries as America, etc., um, I think we're much safer.
Yes, yes. Did you enjoy it though? I mean, I know it's strange to say about a movie like Sound of Freedom. It's strange to say I enjoyed it, but do you think it was like a well-made movie? Let me change the question.
Yes, okay. Well made, very well acted, very well directed. I think it was very educational. I think the purpose was that of it to be educational, and I think it reached its purpose. And in that way, yes, it is enjoyable. Otherwise, the topic is so dark that it's not.
Hmm. The topic is what it is.
Yeah.
I agree, by the way. I thought it was a very well directed movie, great acting. Jim Caviezel was, in my opinion, fantastic. Obviously, there's the politics behind it, which I don't think we have time to get into today. But there was a lot of like politics and so on behind the whole, like the production company behind it, and then actually, I believe one of the producers of the movie was an actual convicted pedophile, which is a little weird. But
That
yeah, it's
that
yes,
no
yes,
way.
yes. I mean, we had talked about it on the podcast, and we had looked at the source and everything, so
That
it's
is
confirmed.
not correct at all. I would
No,
be like, that is so hypocritical. That is so hypocritical. No way. No. That
yep,
that is a joke.
one of the people who invested in this movie. Yeah, he was
For real?
convicted. Yes, he was. I was shocked when I read the news. Like I looked it up on like I don't know how many different newspapers. And hello, Yella. Hey, hey, just tuning in after landing in Malta. Yella will be tomorrow. Will be coming tomorrow as well, Marisabelle. I don't know
I
if
know
you
her.
met Yella.
Yes, she's a good old friend of mine. Hi,
She
Ella. See you
designed
tomorrow.
the poster. She designed the poster.
Yes, I noticed. I love her work.
Her work is great. She's amazing work. But yeah, I was shocked when I read that news about the producer of Sound of Freedom. Um, Moving on, Marisabel, there's a movie I wanted to talk to you about. I'm
Yeah.
so sad that Joe and Franco aren't here to talk about it because it has been basically a running joke on this podcast for 50 episodes, basically, that I should watch this movie. And if any of our viewers and listeners are, have been watching this podcast for a long time, you'll know that right now we are talking about The Empty Man. It's actually quite ironic that Joe and Franco aren't on the podcast to talk about The Empty Man, but I guess when they're on, I'll discuss it with them. But Marisabel, you managed to watch it as well.
Yes.
What did you think?
So I did a lot of research about this movie. I really wanted to be prepared. So, from a visual perspective, I really enjoyed the movie because it was well made. From a direction of
Hmm.
photography, music, sound effects, editing, the acting was good. So, the directing, everything, it made sense. But then there were some questions here and there about certain story plot lines, which gave me some questions, basically. What did you think about it?
So let me start off with I think the first 22 minutes of the movie would make an excellent horror short.
Yes.
Excellent horror. I think the first 22 movies are a masterpiece in horror storytelling.
Hmm.
The opening 22 movies. unfortunately, it's all downhill from there, in my opinion. I, and in every aspect, not only just in the storytelling aspect, in the horror elements, but in every single aspect. I think the movie just goes downhill. The ending I liked. I'm going to be honest, I liked the ending, the final few minutes. But to get there, it's long, it's slow. The story sometimes just trudges to a halt and it takes so long to develop. And I'm just over the whole cult storyline. And I did not know this was going to be about a cult. I'm going to be honest. I thought it was more. There obviously are a lot of supernatural elements here, but I didn't know this was going to be about a cult. If I knew it was about a cult, I wouldn't have watched it. To be honest, what do you think, Marisabelle?
This wouldn't have been my cup of tea. I only watched it for this podcast, and I'm interested actually. I saw it like an assignment, and I felt very happy that I went outside of my comfort zone. So this is cool. Yes, I agree with you about the intro. It could have been a short of its own, and in a way, it feels like it's like two separate movies.
Yes.
So what is like a bit confusing, if I may start pointing out the questions that I had, is basically, so we can give spoilers, yes?
100%. By the way, guys, so for
no.
anyone who hasn't watched The Empty Man and who doesn't want the movie spoiled, you can maybe pause this podcast for, let's say, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then join us again. We'll probably be over it. By the way, you can actually put us on silent on YouTube, and when you see The Empty Man screen go off the screen, then you know that we've finished talking about it. So go for it.
Okay, so basically, so going to the end part, the main character, he is given this storyline that actually he was fabricated, and then everything that he went through, it was all fabrication, which for me it didn't make sense, because some of these fabricated storylines didn't make sense, such as the birthday lunch with this voucher, such as the fact that he kept on repeating that he saw so much, like what he was going through was so weird, and him coming from San Francisco, this is too weird for him. And I was like, in fact, asking to myself, why is he repeating that he is from San Francisco? Is San Francisco that weird that anything that he would see would be like, shouldn't be as weird as San Francisco? In fact, I even have a friend based in LA, and I messaged this friend. I asked, listen, what is the deal with San Francisco? Is there something weird? And I was told, no, San Francisco is not known to be weird. It's just known to be expensive and very beautiful and cold. So I'm like, okay. So it didn't make sense that there is this San Francisco thing going. It would have made more sense if he was from New York, for example, because New York, it's a more of a wild city. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'll agree on that.
So there are some these little points here and there that just don't add up, at least not to me. What do you think about these kind of questions?
I think the story post first 22 minutes made pretty much no sense. I mean, listen, again, I think, what's his name, David Pryor, is a good director. I think there is good work done here. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is a 1 out of 5, not even close. I would rate it somewhere around the 3 out of 5, I would say.
Okay.
Which I think is a bit more positive than you.
No. My problem is not with direction; it's with story. So the writing. I have questions with the writing, like with the philosophy of the perspective. I think that the director did a good job with what he was given. Now, I don't know who the writer is, of course, but
he's the writer as well.
So I don't know, David, what you were thinking. I don't know, because it just doesn't make sense. Like, for example, the girl who seemed so smart, right? What is her name again? The girl with the very short hair.
Amanda.
Okay.
Amanda. Yeah,
she
Amanda
seems
Quaid.
to be a very smart girl from the very start. And then she's the one who is peer pressuring her group of friends into doing something suicidal. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're so smart, you don't do that, right? unless you are psychotic. But I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I mean, the opening 20 minutes again, great stuff. Title screen comes up, and then transition. I just wish they just focus completely on that element, because
Yeah.
that element was great. The horror elements in those opening 22 minutes were fantastic stuff. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is a masterpiece. And then obviously the actual movie started, which was
Yeah.
clearly, in my opinion, not a masterpiece. But again, I'm gonna be honest. I'm looking forward to seeing more of David Pryor. I know he had another short movie in Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. The question is, which episode did he have? I forgot which episode he had, but he had an episode in Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosity. I don't know if you watched these,
No.
Marisabelle.
No, I would like to.
Some of them are very good. I remember my favorite was The Autopsy, which was number 3. This one. This one was very good. This one, and he directed it. So
Okay.
coincidentally, he's the one who directed my favorite, The Autopsy. This is great horror, The Autopsy. So again, if he has the quality to direct something like The Autopsy, which I think is a very, very well made horror, not short, I'd say it's like a 1 hour horror movie. I think I'm looking forward to what he has to do. Writing wise, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. Did you notice, by the way, Marisa, I don't know how big you are into Fincher, but this guy is really, 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 really heavily inspired by Fincher. Like, super inspired by David Fincher.
Yes. So David Pryor is a big Fincher fan.
Yes.
Well, I can see it in the
Big
color
fan.
schemes.
Yes. The topic as well, the whole cult thing,
Yeah.
color scheme, lighting, lots of elements are taken from Fincher. So there's heavy inspiration there. Even just the imagery, how haunting the imagery is, and everything. I think that's quite clear to see. Anyways, what would your rating be, Marisabelle, for The Empty Man?
Before I mention a name, I just would like to say that the one redeeming thing I should say about this movie is that I think as a creative, I understand that every project that we work on is like a test that we put ourselves to. Sometimes our test doesn't work. Sometimes it's a lesson. And also he did something good, even though it didn't hit certain some boxes because it was a bit confusing. But despite the confusion, I think he did something that is a good conversation piece, and there is something there. I mean,
there is definitely something there, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, many elements are on point. It's just that the storyline is confusing. So, to that effect, I think that this movie deserves a good rating. Not a high rating because it is confusing, but there are very good elements to just simply accept it to be a good movie in that way as well.
Agreed. And that rating would be?
I think it would be like a 3 out of 5, as you did. Yeah.
All right. So we agree on that.
Yes.
So those are our thoughts on The Empty Man. I'm looking forward then to hearing what Franco and Joe think about what we have to say about The Empty Man.
I think seeing that they recommended it so heavily to you, they have a high rating.
They've been hyping this movie so much. Literally 50 episodes of them trying to force me to watch this movie. Okay. And finally I caved.
And they're not here. It's so ironic.
Especially when I heard you watched it. So when you told me you actually watched it, I was like, I was ready to say, forget about it, by the way. If
you told me let's watch Interstellar instead, I'd be like, yes. Because I love anything by Christopher Nolan. Like, he's my idol. So
yes. I'm waiting for his Blu-ray because I recently ordered the Interstellar Blu-ray. I'm waiting for that to arrive and for my actual Blu-ray to arrive, so I can watch it during the holidays.
If you ever do a Christopher Nolan episode, please do invite me because I would love to be here.
The last one we had was the Oppenheimer one. That was a while ago.
That's cool. But
the
maybe we can do another one of his.
Definitely. Moving on. So let me just mention really quickly what I have been watching recently. So I watched a few movies this week. I watched Leave the World Behind, which I will review later on. That's on Netflix. You watched it as well, right?
Yes.
So we'll review that later on. I watched Wonka at the cinemas. I watched it on Friday, which I will review later on as well. Then I watched, because I've been on this Godzilla, basically Godzilla streak of movies. I don't know how you are with the Godzilla movies, Marisabelle. I recently watched this, Godzilla King of the Monsters,
Okay.
which is an okay Godzilla movie. To be honest, I was expecting much worse, because from what everyone was saying, they were like, oh, it focuses a lot on the human characters. Okay, yeah, it does a little bit, but I think the action with all the different monsters is just so spectacular. What I do know about this movie was a massive failure at the box office, and that, I mean, this was clearly an expensive movie to make with all the different
Yeah.
CGI for all the monsters. But I think, although it's not as good as the 2014 Godzilla, which is this, which I highly recommend if you haven't watched, by the way.
I watched the older ones.
This one, the 2014 one, this
Yes.
is excellent. This is a very, very, very good Godzilla movie.
Yes.
So I highly recommend watching this. But with regard to Godzilla King of the Monsters, I'd say it's an okay Godzilla movie. I didn't hate it. I actually had quite a decent time watching it. So that's Godzilla King of the Monsters.
I will check it out.
If you're a fan of Godzilla, I'd say wait a couple of weeks, because Godzilla -1 is coming out very soon in Malta. And this apparently is a very, very highly rated Godzilla movie. It's got an 8.5 on IMDb, doing very well. I think on Letterboxd it's got a 4 out of 5. So very, very, very good ratings for Godzilla -1. This is coming out, I believe, on the 17th. On the 17th. And then it's also releasing on the 23rd, 2 days only, being shown on 2 days only. I believe at Eden.
There?
Yes.
Why?
And in the morning at 10. I don't know why. Just
But
2 screenings so
Is
far.
this going to be on a weekday or a weekend?
No, weekend. It's
At least.
Sunday 17th and Saturday 23rd.
It really
I'll probably
sounds
go watch
like
it on the 23rd.
they want to fill up the theater and they want to push people to go.
The theaters are almost packed, Jafiri. When I checked for the 23rd, they were almost completely sold out.
I need to go and buy a ticket then.
Yeah, there is a big demand for Godzilla -1. Apparently, it's a very, very, very good movie. So I'm excited to watch that. I'll watch it on the 23rd, because next weekend I won't be able to go and watch it. So that's Godzilla King of the Monsters. Have you watched, by the way, Marisabelle, have you watched this movie? Because I watched it this week. Beau is Afraid. I've been meaning to watch it for a very long time.
Of it.
It's the Ari Aster movie.
I haven't watched it. No, I would like to. I mean, anything with Joaquin Phoenix, I would want to watch for sure.
It's a weird one. It's a very weird one. I think I need to watch it again, because honestly, the opening first 1 hour and a half, I adore. I think it's so good. But there is one point where the movie just, in my opinion, flounders completely. The movie it's a weird movie, because it's like a mixture of bits, each bit lasting like around 45 minutes. And the first 2 bits are so well done, really, really well done. But then they get to this bit where they're in a forest. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, because Joe and Franco have already reviewed it. But the movie just flounders completely. And I look at my phone, and I've already been watching this movie for 1 hour, 30 minutes, having a great time. And I'm like, wait, shit, I have another hour and a half of this movie to go. And the movie just slows down to like a snail's pace. And that just killed it for me. Killed it completely for me. So I don't know. I don't even know how to give you a rating for this.
May I ask you, what do you think is the problem? Like, do you think they were rushing for when they wanted to finish, or they changed team, crew, maybe someone with different vision joined?
No, I think this is Ari Aster. He's a genius, right? This is a genius. He made great stuff. Hereditary and Midsommar are some of my all-time favorite movies. So he is a genius. I think when you've got a creative like Ari Aster, and you give him complete and total freedom, I think that's what happens.
Okay.
It's sad to say sometimes, but I think sometimes the geniuses need to be reined in just a little bit, just a tad bit, just a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for creative freedom for everyone. But sometimes the big geniuses like Ari Aster just need a bit of reining in, just a tad bit. Yeah, but I need to watch it again. Yes, Yella. See you tomorrow as well. Excited to see you.
See you, Yella.
So yeah, that's Beau's Afraid. Do I recommend it? So I need to watch it again to really like get the whole movie, because I don't think I got the whole movie watching it the first time only.
I mean,
That's Beau's Afraid.
I will watch it even if it's with this critique that you're giving. So
I think it's worth watching. By the way, I think any movie by Ari Aster is worth watching. He is a genius. It's a genius at work. His camera work, the themes he touches, the coloring, everything is stunning stuff. Stunning stuff. Performances, great stuff. But I think in this movie he did let his creativity a bit too loose. So that's Beau's Afraid. Some series I've been watching. I don't know if you've heard of this. Marisabelle, The Curse.
No.
Very, very, very good. Very good series.
What is
We've
the
reached
genre?
by now. Good question. I would say it's like it's a comedy. It's dark humor.
Okay.
But I don't know why there's thriller. I don't really see it as a thriller. There is a bit elements of drama, but definitely lots of dark humor. It's a very awkward series, but awkward in a good way, because the characters are really awkward, but you laugh at their awkwardness, right? So that's the whole humor element comes from there. And I think that both Emma Stone and Nathan Fielder and Benny Safdie are absolutely fantastic in this. Really world-class performances by all three. Really good stuff. Last week, episode 4 was a bit of a slow week. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really like the episode that much. But episode 5 had one final scene in it that was incredible. Incredible stuff. It touches a lot onto politics and our preconceptions of certain people according to their politics, and it tackles that subject so well. Obviously, I can't go into it too much because of spoilers, but I highly, highly, highly recommend The Curse. It's a very, very well-made series. And one final series that I watched this week, I just finished watching it right now, is Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, talking about Godzilla. I'm going to be honest, this series started off very strongly. I thought episodes 1 and 2 were great episodes. And then it started to slow down. 3 was fine, then 4. And today I finished watching 5. And in fact, you can see the ratings on IMDb as well going down, 7.6, 7.7, and then 6.2, and then 5.2. And that symbolizes exactly what I've been feeling about this series as well. It started off very strongly, but the last couple of episodes have focused a lot on the human characters, and that's always the big problem with these Godzilla movies. If you focus too much on the human characters, like I don't care about these human characters. The series hasn't been good enough to make me care about them, which is a big issue.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'll continue it. I don't know if maybe I'll give it one final episode chance. If not, cut it. I have better things to do.
Then I won't watch it.
Anyways, watch the first couple of episodes if you like this topic. I would say watch the first couple of episodes if you like this topic, Marisabelle. And then if you don't like what you've seen so far, then it just gets worse. So stop it. If you're interested, I'd say maybe continue it, but I'll update you next week and I'll let you know.
Okay.
If it's, like, next week is when I'll continue or stop. It's the deciding week.
I'm usually one of those people that if I start something, I want to finish it. I want to see it through the end. So it's going to have to be a commitment.
Usually I'm that kind of person as well. But when you're hosting a podcast about movies and series and video games, you have so much stuff to watch.
I know.
It's like impossible. If what you're watching, you don't like what you're watching. Like,
Yeah.
cut.
Totally.
I have 10,000 other movies and series to watch.
Yeah.
So there's that as well to it. And with that, we can conclude the section where we talk about what we've been up to and move on to the trailer section. So viewers and listeners, let us know what you have been up to, what you have been watching. Let us know in the comment section below. And with that, we've got a few trailers to talk about. And to start off, I'm excited to introduce the first trailer of the day, which is Masters of the Air. Today, Apple TV Plus released the latest trailer for its eagerly awaited World War II drama Masters of the Air, produced by Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, and Gary Gutzman, the same team behind Band of Brothers and The Pacific, which, by the way, Marisabelle, if you're looking for a very, very good World War II series, Band of Brothers is a masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. I don't know if you've watched it, by the way.
No, but I have a feeling I'm going to.
It's a masterpiece. Trust me, it's oh my god, it's so good. It's one of the best series I've ever watched. It's up there amongst the best. Let's put it that way. It's really good. So it's the same teams behind Band of Brothers, which is why I am really stoked for this series. And also because we've got a fantastic cast as well. We've got Barry Keoghan, Austin Butler, Callum Turner, Anthony Boyle, and so many other great actors. I mean, we've got Academy Award nominees Austin Butler and Barry Keoghan. I'm already in if I know that those two actors are in it. Anyways, this is adapted from Donald L. Miller's book and written by John Orloff. Masters of the Air tells the story of the men from the 100th Bomb Group, also known as the Bloody 100. Series depicts their dangerous bombing missions over Nazi Germany, where they faced freezing conditions, a lack of oxygen, and the terrifying reality of combat at 25,000 feet in the air. The show explores the mental and emotional challenges these young men endured as they played a crucial role in dismantling Hitler's Third Reich. Some were captured or shot down, others were wounded or lost their lives, and a few were fortunate enough to return home. Regardless of their individual fates, all of them paid a significant toll in their own way. Series will debut on Apple TV Plus with a 2-part premiere on Friday, January 26th, followed by one new episode every Friday. So, Marisabelle, you've had a look at the trailer for Austin Butler's Masters of the Air. What do you think?
Very briefly, yes, I have. It looks very good. I mean, the acting, the cast is looking very stellar. So, as you mentioned, it's it's produced by Steven Spielberg. And I mean, I'm sure I'm not going to be disappointed. So, it's looking good. I will watch it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it. I mean, first of all, some of the stuff I noticed during the trailer, the historical accuracy looks on point. I mean, Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks love World War II. Love. And if you watch Band of Brothers, you'll know that the massive focus on historical accuracy is one of the best elements of that. So there's that. And the fact that clearly they're going for a very gritty and very realistic portrayal, I'm all in. Plus, there's the Apple TV element of it all. Apple TV have, in my opinion, some of the best series coming out right now. They create quality, absolute quality. And obviously, Apple is Apple. They've got a lot of money. So they can throw as much money as they want at stuff. I mean, recently they just released Killers of the Flower Moon and Napoleon. And whilst I wasn't the biggest fan of Napoleon, they throw a lot of money at that.
Mhm.
Plus Killers of the Flower Moon, in my opinion, is one of the best movies, if not the best movie of the year. So Apple Studios are really investing a lot of money into the movie and TV series business. Directors on this are interesting. We've got Tim Van Patten, who I know was on Game of Thrones. There's Cory Joji Fukunaga, who was the director of No Time to Die. So some very good stuff. Ryan Fleck, who worked on Captain Marvel. So some quality directors there as well. And to conclude, I don't know if you paid attention to the action, the way it's shot, Marisabelle, but it's apparently, I did some research on this. Apparently, it's a mixture of real B-17s and B-51 cockpits, which are then juxtaposed with volume style CGI, which is basically volume CGI is an addition. So they add to, so you have realistic stuff, you have the real planes basically, but then through the volume, you create images behind the plane, so it seems like they're flying or they're being attacked. So as long as they can get the CGI, and from what we've seen from the trailer, the CGI looks great. As long as they can get the CGI, the volume style CGI looking great, I think we're in for a blast with this series.
Yeah.
Don't know if you have anything else you want to add, Marisabelle, or we can move on to the next one.
I think I said what I had to say, that it's looking good. It's looking very promising. And yes, I think it's one of the must-watches that we have towards the end of this year.
Yep, great stuff. And moving on to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Did you watch the Brad Pitt one and the Angelina Jolie?
Yes, a long time ago, and it was very hot and fiery. So I don't know what I'm going to be expecting with this one. It's looking good for this new remake, let's say, of it. But I don't know. I just love the old version. It's like why do you need to do something that's already good anyways? I don't know. That's my perspective.
That's always our question, right? Why? What's the point of remaking? I mean, the point is they think they can make money out of it. I mean,
Oh,
I think that's the whole point.
yes. Yes.
But anyways, we've got Donald Glover and Maya Erskine. Have you ever watched the actress Maya Erskine? I don't think I've ever seen her in anything, to
I
be
don't
honest.
think so. I mean, I'm interested to see this movie also because it's always good to see new talent and uh, Glover. We are familiar with him, but this is
100%.
still going to be a project which we're going to be seeing him do new stuff, different stuff from before. So it's always good to see movies also for that aspect.
Definitely, definitely. So it'll be interesting to see Maya Erskine. But oh, by the way, voiced the character in Blue Eye Samurai, which
Okay.
is one of my favorite series of the year so far on Netflix, animated series, very good series. Anyways, this is coming out on Prime Video. Who released their trailer. Apparently, the show is releasing in February 2nd, so quite soon next year, 2024, obviously. Um, Obviously, this series seem to be have some similarities, but also some big differences from what I noticed from the trailer. First of all, obviously Glover and Erskine are strangers. They sign up to become spies, and then they get assigned a marriage as a cover story, which is different to the Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt storyline. So it's obviously in that movie, spoilers for a 2005 movie, I guess I can go ahead and spoil it. In that movie, they try to kill each other, right? So Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt try to kill each other before the ending where they fight together. But in this case, apparently it's going to be kind of like a case every week kind of series where every week they're on a different case. They're trying to solve the case with their espionage prowess and whatnot. But then obviously there's a whole element of their relationship, right? Now, in the case of the 2005 one, the Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, I completely agree with you. It was absolutely electric. I think the chemistry between the two was palpable. Sparks were in the cinema when I was watching it. I mean, it was great stuff. And that leads me to my question for this series. Do you think Glover and Erskine can have that kind of electric chemistry and like the sexual tension that there was in this movie? That's the big question, right, Marisabelle?
Yes, and that's why we're going to watch it. So we find out.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. By the way, I also found out that apparently Phoebe Waller-Bridge was meant to be starring in this show.
Okay.
She's a great actor. I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Apparently there were some creative differences, and she stopped working on it. And then obviously they got in Maya Erskine for this. So yeah, looking forward to watch it. It'll be interesting to see how Donald Glover and Maya Erskine combine together for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And our final trailer with regard to, in this case, a movie, is this one. You know, I had no idea this movie existed, Marisabelle. I just found out about it because the trailer popped up. It's starring Ariana DeBose, who I think is a fantastic, fantastic actress, who is starring in the movie I.S.S., which is a World War movie, but in space, which is what really caught my attention. So, like, it's the whole what happens if a war erupts on land, but you're in the International Space Station, right? Where obviously it's a collaboration between the Russians and the US. And the war obviously breaks out between the US and Russia. So that whole element really piqued my interest. So I don't know if you watched this trailer, Marisabelle. What do you think?
First and foremost, I love sci-fi and anything related to history. As a history buff, I'm more focused on the Maltese history. But this is really cool, the theory. I have to say, I don't know where I read, but I think this might have actually happened. Like that.
No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no, no,
no,
not
no,
not
no.
for of a female woman, but I think there was some kind of Russian astronaut that actually was left in space. Now I don't know if I'm speaking from my foot,
I
but
don't know.
I think there was
No, no,
something
I
of
have
the
no idea.
sort.
I have no idea.
Or
I
possibly
don't know about
I
that.
read some fake news. Who knows?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Honestly, I don't think I've ever read about it. But again, I don't remember everything, obviously.
Okay.
So as a trailer, I think this is a great trailer, by the way. Like a really, really, really well made trailer. I think it really heightens up the tension which is what I think this whole movie is going for, right? Which is the tension, that tense feeling of being in space, which juxtaposes really well with the relaxed feel at the start.
I actually searched it. It actually happened.
It happened.
Yes,
Oh
I read
crap!
it. I
Okay,
read it some time ago.
okay.
His name
I need
is
to look this up.
Sergei Krikalev, and he was left in space for 311 days, which is just over
Krikalev.
10 months, due to the collapse
Sergey.
of the Soviet Union. So Krikalev had
Oh,
been sent on a
yeah.
mission to the Mir space station in May 1981 when the Soviet Union was still intact. And because it collapsed, so this is like really cool. I mean, I read it like,
This is the guy, right?
yes. So
Oh,
this
crap.
is so cool. So they possibly were inspired from this, and they put it into another world's timeline, which is the
Oh my
war,
God,
which
this
is
is
really
so
cool.
cool. Oh my
So
God, poor guy.
yeah. Poor guy.
The interesting element then about I.S.S., the movie, obviously, is that then there's the conflict between the US and Russia. So you've got Ariana DeBose's character, who and obviously her workmates, her friends in space, obviously need to take on the Russian astronauts, which is obviously will heighten the tension even more. And obviously, the whole idea behind the I.S.S. is collaboration between both countries. So I think this looks like a great movie. By the way, reviews are actually out for this movie, and I believe it's got I think a 90%. Let me look it up. Believe it's got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. No, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, and a 7.1 IMDb rating from 46 reviewers. So I am very much looking forward to this movie. I think it's going to be a great movie. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think this comes out in cinemas in Malta.
No.
I doubt it does. But probably we'll have to watch it later on when it comes out on digital.
Yeah.
One thing has me worried. One thing only. It comes out in January. And January is usually like the dumping ground for movies you think are a complete and utter failure.
Why? Why is that the case?
Because it's the month where people least go to the cinema.
Really?
January, because everyone spends their money in December, obviously for the holidays, and then no one has money for January. So all the studios release their trash in January, basically.
That is so strange, seeing that it has a 90% rating already.
Mm-hmm. So critics so far are saying this is great stuff. This is really good stuff. It's Ariana DeBose's performance is great. Tension is excellent. It's weird. Probably it's not that the movie is bad itself. I don't think this movie can make any money. So probably that's why they're releasing it in January.
Okay.
Also, the director looks very interesting. Gabriela Cowperthwaite. She has two very good documentaries, apparently, award-winning documentaries. One is called Blackfish, Blackfish and the Grab, and the other is Children of the Underground. Two very, very, very good documentaries, apparently. So that is I.S.S. And to conclude our trailers, right now, Marisabelle, I don't know. By the way, I have to ask you before I get into this. How are you with video games? Do you play games at all, or are you not that interested in that?
Funnily enough, yesterday I played some video games for the first time in many years.
Okay. What did you play?
I don't even know the name. It's just the one that you have to jump and yeah, I don't know the name. I'm really not a gamer.
Yeah.
I'm more of a board game person. I'm a very 90s kid.
Okay.
I'm a 90s kid.
Oh, yeah. Nice. By the way, Keith telling us I.S.S. has For All Mankind vibes. Keith, I haven't even started For All Mankind. Shame on me. That's a very, very good series that I still need to start. I haven't watched For All Mankind. Would you recommend it? Keith, I know lots of people say it's really, really good series. Very well rated on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. I know lots of people are big fans of For All Mankind, which I believe is another Apple TV. Yeah, it's another very good Apple TV series. So moving on to our final trailer of the day, which is the trailer everyone is talking about right now, GTA 6.
Oh, I used to play it as a kid, actually.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
the old versions. I was so into it that then I was hearing the ambulance siren in the street, like in real life, and I was thinking, like in a brainwashed state, that I was in the game. So
Yeah. Interesting thing about this trailer, Marisabelle, is that apparently it was leaked. It was leaked. They released basically a low quality copy of the trailer. And Rockstar Studios basically decided to publish it prior to when they were planned. They had to release it early after the leak came out. I mean, it's basically 90 seconds. It's a teaser which shows us Vice City, which is going to be the city in which the whole story of GTA 6 is set. I believe this is the second time we have a female protagonist, Lucia, who we can see on the left here of the screen. Apparently, it's going to have two protagonists, one male, one female. I think they are a couple from what we can tell from the trailer. It seems like they're a couple. And we've got Lucia on the left. The male, I don't know if we have the name so far of him, his name. Anyways, the video game is going to release in 2025, so we still have to wait quite a while for it. But it's obviously going to be a continuation of 2013's GTA 5, which I played the hell out of. I played that for hundreds of hours, which is actually the second best-selling video game of all time after Minecraft. So, I mean, Rockstar just banger after banger, to be honest, from Rockstar. Anyways, the trailer itself, I think we actually can play the trailer. GTA 6, I'm sure we can play the trailer for GTA 6. I'm sure it's not going to be taken down. If we play it like this, it should be fine. Anyway, so the trailer for GTA 6 shows us a bunch of stuff. Shows us, obviously, all the different cars that are going to be in the game. We see lots of partying. We see there's even a scene with a man pulling an alligator out of a swimming pool. And it's all set to the tune of Love is a Long Road by Tom Petty. Some stuff I noticed about this trailer. First of all, this is actually the most viewed non-music video on YouTube in the first 24 hours of publishing, according to the Guinness World Records. After a single day, Marisabelle, this video had 90 million views. 24 hours, 90 million views, which is insane.
It is
absolutely insane.
It is a popular game, so it makes sense.
Damn, it's like, I think it goes beyond popularity in this case. It's just like transcended beyond. It's just defines pop culture probably of the next few years, this video game. Also, obviously, the most liked video game trailer on YouTube with 8.9 million likes in the first day. So apparently, after a couple of days, this trailer had more views than all the views that the first trailer for GTA 6 accumulated from 2011, I believe, or 12 till this day, which is insane. Like, this isn't just like 2-3 days. I mean, the popularity for this is just incredible. Obviously, it's set in Vice City. We've got our first female protagonist, Lucia. The detail in the world is just incredible. I can play that again if you look at the roads and all the different cars. And I mean, it's just, the detail is insane. The lighting, the physics, like everything about it, incredible. Great density. There's the beach, this beach scene. If you just look at how dense this scene is, it's just incredible. Like, this is years and years of work, and great variety in everything, right? The draw distance. I mean, look at that draw distance. That's insane stuff. Really insane stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about this trailer. Marisabelle, I don't know if you want to add anything about this trailer.
Yes, I would like to say that maybe, in the spirit of manifesting, that maybe this should be made into an actual movie as well, like maybe an inspiration based on the game. And speaking as an artist myself, I would see myself acting something completely different, opposite to myself, and something like that would be super cool to act in. Super cool. So
nice.
That's all I have
By
to
the
say.
way, Marisabelle, Franco just messaged us. Just a quick check-in. Sorry you couldn't join in. Hope Andrea's treating you well, Marisabelle.
Yes,
I hope
super well. Thanks, Franco. We're missing you. Hope you're feeling better.
Yes, we're definitely missing both Franco and Joe. Definitely Joe for this segment, because of, obviously, Joe is both me and Joe play a lot of games. Franco isn't really into video games. And Keith telling us about For All of Mankind, if you can get past the first few episodes, yes, it is worth it. That's one I need to catch up on. And it's one for the holidays, basically. I get intimidated when I see 4 or 5 seasons of television. I really get intimidated. So I leave that for the summer, basically.
Okay.
So that's all we had to say about the trailers, guys. Let us know in the comment section below. Any of these trailers pique your interest? Interested in watching I.S.S? We watched. Oh my God, what did we watch? We watched. We watched I.S.S. exactly. We watched
Mr. and Mrs.
Mr. and
Smith.
Mrs. Smith exactly, and
Masters.
Masters of the Air. Any of their trailers pique your interest? Let us know in the comment section below. And with that, we'll move quickly to the news. And I'm just going to go through this really quickly because we have more important stuff. Just wanted to mention this, however, Marisabelle, what do you think about this? Let's have a quick look at the list of the short list, basically, the top 20 movies, according to the Oscars, with regard to visual effects.
Okay.
This is the list. So we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which in my opinion had terrible visual effects and CGI effects. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom comes out in a few weeks, so we don't know about that. Barbie, which I agree. I think Barbie had good effects. The Boys in the Boat, which I haven't watched. The Creator, which had great visuals. Dungeons and Dragons, great visuals, I agree. Godzilla Minus One, we will watch next week. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, great visuals, so I agree. Indiana Jones, so and so. Killers of the Flower Moon, great visuals. The Marvels, I think it deserves to be there, great visuals. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, definitely well deserved. Napoleon, definitely well deserved. Niad, well deserved as well. Poor Things, I haven't watched, hasn't come out in Malta yet. Rebel Moon hasn't come out yet. Society of the Snow, haven't watched. Spider-Man, great visuals. Transformers: Rise of the Beast, great visuals. Wonka, great visuals. From that list, Marisabelle, any movies which stick out like a sore thumb?
Like a sore thumb. I haven't watched all of them, I'm gonna be honest. So I don't.
From the ones you've watched, obviously.
I'd like to be more positive and say what I like versus.
Yes.
What
So
I
mention what you like. Mention what you
Okay.
like. Mention what you like.
So I really like the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a group of movies which I like to watch, and also Mission Impossible. I still need to watch the latest one. I saw a sneak peek of it, the one in which Tom Cruise he did his own stunt with the motorbike down into this valley.
One of the best scenes
of
2023.
Yes.
One of the best scenes of like the whole cinema. It's a real pity, Marisabelle, you won't get to watch it in the cinema. I watched it in the cinema, packed cinema, and like there was just a big gasp. Everyone like gasping. Like that was insane. That's one of my short list for Blu-rays. I'm looking forward to receiving that Blu-ray. I'm getting the whole set of Mission Impossible, basically.
That's quite cool, actually. And yeah, Napoleon is going to be on my list for sure. Fun fact about Napoleon, I think I was in the same bar as the cast and crew one evening some years ago, and I didn't know. I realized afterwards that I was like, these people look like film people because they're dressed like them, and I know because I work on film sets every now and then. And here we have myself. I get told later on they were actually there, and I didn't know. So that's like, I need to watch it more now.
Yes, yeah. Anything else, Marisabelle, from this list that you liked? With regard to visuals, obviously, here we're talking about.
I watched Barbie. I have to say that there was quite some talk about it as to, whether it was good or not. I would say that in terms of props and direction of photography and everything, they did a very good job in that way. And visually speaking, I think it was very strong. So yeah, I would give it props for that.
Yes. I think the set design and the visuals. I mean, Greta Gerwig is a genius, right? I think she's one of those genius directors. I loved every single one of her movies so far. So I agree completely. Barbie is well deserved there. The Creator, I think, if you had to tell me which would visually, here we're not talking about the quality of the movie, which are, in your opinion, the 5 best looking movies from the ones you've watched, obviously, because there are some which I haven't watched. I would say, focusing just on visuals, I would say The Creator, had insane visuals. It's such a pity that that movie has fantastic visuals, but in my opinion, the writing is a bit weak. I would say The Creator. I would say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had fantastic CGI. I would say possibly Napoleon, number 3. It's the other two are tough. The other two are tough. Maybe Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, fantastic visuals. And Spider-Man, it's weird to put an anime. I don't know about putting animated movies in this. I guess it's deserved. It's deserved. Spider-Man has great visuals. So, anyways, obviously, there is one movie that is definitely missing, and that is Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
I don't get how it can't get. Is it not in this list? Like, even though it's all mostly all practical. I mean, it's visual effects, right? Not CGI effects. So I don't know how it's not there. But anyways, so that is the top 20 shortlist for visuals. I'm just going to go skim through this because we don't have time to go into detail. But we also had the Game Awards. I'm just going to go through the most important ones. And nominated for Game of the Year, we had Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I think Baldur's Gate 3 is a very, very, very well-deserved winner. I think it's, in my opinion, one of the best games of all time I've ever played. Could possibly rank as my number one favorite game of all time, to be honest, at this point, because I've been playing it so much. It's just such a great game. Really, really well-made game. So I think I'm very happy that Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year. One other thing I wanted to mention is Best Adaptation. Marisabelle, have you watched any of these? Castlevania Nocturne, which came out on Netflix. Gran Turismo came out in the cinemas. Last of Us, which was out on HBO Max. Super Mario Brothers movie, which came out in the cinema. And Twisted Metal, which was out on Peacock, the TV series.
I haven't. I mean, the thing is, I love movies, of course, because that's like my passion. But at the same time, I try not to be the person who is stuck to my laptop. Otherwise, I will just be a hermit in my room and just forget to eat and sleep. So I try to live a balanced life. I really would like to. I have a list of movies which I still need to watch, and can say that I used to play Super Mario as a kid as well, at least.
I have a few Super Mario games. I mean, they're obviously always a blast to play. Always a blast to play. With regard to Best Adaptation, I'd say I think it's well deserved. Although I wasn't the biggest fan of The Last of Us, I think compared to all five, I think it's the by far highest quality. I think Castlevania Nocturne is a very good animated series on Netflix. I would recommend that. And Gran Turismo is also a very well done movie. I mean, obviously inspired by the video game. Super Mario Brothers movie, you'll know I didn't love that if you watched my review. Wasn't a fan. Twisted Metal I didn't watch, so I can't comment about Twisted Metal. I know a lot of people are fans of that though. So, I mean, apart from that, then we've got Best Game Direction, Alan Wake 2, which I haven't played, unfortunately, so far. Joe is playing that. He'll get to comment about that next week if he joins us. Best Narrative, also won by Alan Wake 2. Again, I think it's well-deserved. I think narrative-wise, from what I've heard, at least, I've heard Alan Wake 2 has a great story. Art Direction, Alan Wake 2. Again, apparently, visually, it's great stuff there. Best Score. I'm surprised Baldur's Gate 3 didn't win it. Now that, Marisabelle, I don't know how you are with scores and soundtracks and so on. I think the Baldur's Gate 3 soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. Composed by Borislav Slavov. It's fantastic soundtrack. Again, Final Fantasy always has fantastic soundtracks as well. So I haven't played it because it only came out on PlayStation and I only play on PC. So I don't know about that. Audio design, Hi-Fi Rush, very well deserved, definitely very well deserved. Best performance, I'm so happy Neil Newbin won that for Baldur's Gate 3 as Astarion, one of the best characters I've ever seen in a video game, honestly. That's pretty much best community support, well deserved by Baldur's Gate 3. And I think that's pretty much what all the important ones. Best action game, Armored Core 6. I played it. This is a very good game, Armored Core 6. Very good action game. Best RPG, definitely well deserved by Baldur's Gate 3. I think that is pretty much it. So that was the Video Game Awards. Now, as you'll know, at the Video Game Awards, we also get a bunch of big announcements. Now, we don't have a lot of time to go into detail, But I found a list of the top 5 biggest announcements, which definitely piqued my interest. We've got Marvel's Blade being announced, and I can just play the trailer really quickly. It's in development by Arcane Leon. Arcane Leon, who made one of my favorite games, Dishonored. Dishonored is a fantastic action game. It's apparently going to be a third-person single-player game, with a mature original story set in Paris. And apparently, you've got Blade, obviously in Paris. Paris has been quarantined, and obviously you've got the vampire, a vampire kind of like storyline here. It's a vampiric emergency going on. With Paris quarantined, you probably need to take on a bunch of vampires in Paris. That I would assume is going to be what the game is all about. That's Marvel's Blade. Light, No Fire, which also piqued my interest because this is the creators of No Man's Sky, Hello Games. Great developers. After the initial problems with No Man's Sky, they put in a ton of work and really improved No Man's Sky. And this is their next project. It's going to be an open world game, no boundaries, with an online multiplayer component. And I think just looking at the visuals, it's stunning visuals, really beautifully done. Next up, we've got Jurassic Park Survival. Marisabelle, I don't know if you're a fan of the Jurassic Park movies. I'm a big fan of the old ones, the Jurassic Park movies.
Yes.
This is inspired from the older Steven Spielberg movie, the original 1993 Jurassic Park movie. I grew up with those movies. So inspired by that. Developed by Saber Interactive, who our viewers will know launched World War Z, the video game for World War Z, which movie, by the way, was filmed in Malta. Parts of it, obviously.
And I worked on it as crew.
You worked on it. Okay.
Yes.
How was your experience working on it?
I loved it. It was almost a month and a half, almost more or less, in 2020 during COVID time. I was very excited to be on it. It was an experience that I would repeat again and again if I could. Yes.
World War Z, starring Brad Pitt, right?
No.
Wasn't that Brad Pitt in World War Z?
World War Z, you're saying? Sorry, I was talking about Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh, but yes, obviously we can talk about Jurassic World Dominion as well.
That's what I was
talking about
thinking
Jurassic
to say.
Park.
No, World War Z, no, I haven't. I know who acted in it as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The reason why I mentioned World War Z, Marisabelle, is because the developers for this game, Jurassic Park Survival, also developed the video game for that movie.
Okay.
They developed the video game for World War Z. Coincidentally, obviously, both being filmed in Malta. And this is also going to be set on the same world of Jurassic Park, right? Isla Nubar, which is where it will be set. It's apparently going to be a mixture of stealth and action gameplay. I am super excited for Jurassic Park Survival. I grew up watching the Jurassic Park movies, so really excited for that. We've got DLC for God of War Ragnarok. This is a bloody fantastic game, which I'm so upset is still not out on PC. I'm looking forward to playing this when it comes out on PC. And finally, this is the one I wanted to ask you about, Marisabelle. Are you a fan of Jordan Peele?
I think by now we know I'm not a video gamer, so I don't know.
No, Jordan Peele, he's a movie director. He made Us. He made Nope and Get Out.
Okay.
Let me bring him up.
Yes, please.
Really quickly. Jordan Peele. He's made some great stuff. This is him. 1 second. Let me bring it up on screen. So this is Jordan Peele. Oh, I have my caps lock on. But anyways, that's Jordan Peele. And these are some of his movies. He's got Get Out, he's got Nope, and he's got Us, which are... I'd say Get Out is his best movie by far. I think Get Out is one of the best movies of the 21st century. Us, I liked. Nope, I didn't like at all. I don't know if you've watched these.
Nope.
Nope was a Nope, exactly. But Franco and Joe would completely disagree with me on that because they love it. They love Nope. I don't know if you've watched these, Marisabelle.
I wish Franco and John were here because it's good to have someone to disagree with you and have a conversation, you know? Yeah.
Yes, we disagree
I feel
a lot.
like you and I are a team and we can disagree with Franco and John.
Exactly. We disagree a lot, which is what makes this podcast so fun, to be honest.
It's cool. Yes.
So
No,
anyway,
I still
so
need to watch more of his work.
I
I
would
mean,
recommend Get Out. Watch Get Out, Marisabelle. Watch
okay.
Get Out. Trust me, watch Get Out. It's one of the best movies of the 21st century. By
Once
the
I
way,
get
Yella
out of this
commenting.
podcast, I will go watch Get Out.
Yes, that is highly recommended. Yella commenting Florida Man. I'm not getting the reference. Florida Man. I'm not getting the reference, Yella. Sorry, need to explain it a bit more. My brain is too slow.
Is she
Um,
referring to the joke that Florida man, like Florida's known to have a meme called Florida Man? Is that what she means?
could be, but I don't know this meme. You're gonna have to explain it to me.
So
Like I said.
you can go on Twitter and do hashtag Florida Man, and you'll find all examples of it, basically.
Oh, okay. I'm looking it up now. All
Okay.
right, all right.
Like something weird happens. Florida Man.
Ah, okay. All
I don't
right.
know. That's what she's saying.
Popularized in 2013, referring to an alleged prevalence of people performing irrational or maniacal actions in the US state of Florida. Okay. I mean, I'm aware of the crazy stuff that goes on in Florida because I like to follow American politics a lot. But I didn't know about this meme. Anyways, so the final video game here is a combination between Hideo Kojima, who's a fantastic video game developer, created great stuff. For example, created the Metal Gear games and the Death Stranding, which is also a very good video game. Metal Gear, that series of video games, is I think the best series of video games ever released, to be honest. And obviously Death Stranding, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, to be honest. Anyways, they're working together to create a new horror video game called OD, which is short for Overdose. The trailer doesn't really show us much, to be honest. All we get to know about it from it is it's starring Hunter Schafer, Udo Kier, and Sophia Lillis, all quite well-known actors in it. And that is OD. I mean, there really isn't much to comment about Marisabelle here because, again, as you can see from the trailer, all we see are them talking. Basically, we can look at the great like effects and design and CGI for the face, but that's pretty much all there is to say about this, right? We don't really get to know much about this, but definitely Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele collaborating together. That's match made in heaven, to be honest.
Yeah, I think when a trailer is made in a very simple way, it's meant to be strong so that it would be a bomb in terms of it's going to be a blast when it comes out.
Yeah.
So I have high expectations, considering I'm someone
Definitely.
who's not a video gamer. I have high expectations what the result is going to be.
I mean, even the animations, like the emotions being shown here, are incredible. But obviously, you need to see how this then works in the game itself. But just seeing those two names next to each other, Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele, two geniuses, I think, really. If you like video games and you like horror video games, I'm sure you'll be very excited about this. So let us know in the comment section below, guys. What do you think about all these video games announced at the Game Awards? Are you excited about any of them? Let us know in the comment section below. And to conclude this section, one final thing to talk about are the Golden Globes. We've got the Golden Globes, which I wasn't planned to do this, but apparently they were just announced a few hours ago. Marisabelle, stop me anytime you want to comment about any of these. Are you into stand-up comedies? I'm not, so I have no idea about any of these.
Well, Sarah Silverman, she's amazing. She's really, really good. So I'm not surprised. She's up there. Amy Schumer is really good. Chris Rock, I mean, very familiar names. So when I was in New York last year, I tried to go to a stand-up comedy, to Saturday Night Live as well, but it's so tricky to get into one of those things. So it's on the list of things to do.
So that's best performance in stand-up comedy on television. Again, I don't watch stand-up, so I can't comment about that. Supporting role in a television series, best performance by an actress. We've got Meryl Streep. Uh, I'm just going to comment about the ones I've watched, and then you can, Marisabelle, comment about the ones you've watched. I've watched Ted Lasso, and I think Hannah Waddingham very well deserved. She's an absolute star. Elizabeth Debicki, who I think will win this, fantastic in The Crown, and J. Smith Cameron, also very good in Succession. If you had to tell me from the ones you've watched who should win this, Elizabeth Debicki by far,
Yeah,
absolutely owns the role.
I agree with you. I mean, The Crown is amazing.
It is.
So,
Have you watched the last season?
no, it's on. I still to watch it. So
Watch it, watch it. It's very good.
yeah.
She Elizabeth Debicki. I mean, I adore her as an actress. I think she's one of the best actresses right now.
Hmm.
And her take is fantastic as Diana. She is so good, so good, so good. So that's best performance by an actress in a supporting role. Next up, we've got best performance by an actor in a supporting role in a television series. From the ones I've watched Matthew McFadyen, who I think will win this. For Succession, he is fantastic in Succession. There's a great combination of humor and tragedy in his performance, which is juxtaposed so well in his character. Ibn Mos Barash, I'd say, fantastic in The Bear, so I wouldn't be surprised if he wins this as well. Alexander Skarsgård was very good in Succession as well, fantastic antagonist in that series, and Alan Ruck, such great humor, and the comedic timing for Alan Ruck in his role in Succession is just so good. But I would say if I were to choose, from the ones I've watched, I would say Matthew McFadyen.
Okay.
Marisabelle, watched any of these?
No, they are on my list for me to watch. I have to say, Alexander Skarsgård is the most familiar to me, and in fact, I want to watch Succession especially because of him. So, yeah, next on the list.
I'd put Succession up there with the best series ever released, so I would highly recommend you watch it.
Okay.
Best performance by an actor in a limited series, anthology series, or motion picture made for television. We've got Stephen Yeun, fantastic in Beef. I'm a big fan of Matt Bomer, but I haven't watched Fellow Travelers yet. Shame on me. I've been meaning to watch that for so long, but I haven't watched it. I've also watched none of these, just Stephen Yeun in Beef. So I can't really comment about this. Just say Stephen Yeun was fantastic in Beef. What about you, Marisabelle?
I have watched Fargo, not the one with John Hamm, and I like John Hamm's acting. So, okay, this has to be a must-watch as well, because I mean, Fargo is also done by the brothers, right? So
Yes.
so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt it's going to be good.
Of course.
I've watched the movie, obviously, but the series I've never actually got into. I've watched a few episodes, but I didn't continue it. Shame on me.
I mean, it's kind of dark as well. So, but it's really good.
I love dark.
Yeah.
I love dark. Give me dark any day. Best performance by an actress in a limited series, anthology series, or motion picture made for television. Brie Larson, I think. Looking at this whole list, I haven't watched many of these series. Kali Wong in Beef was very good, but Brie Larson in Lessons in Chemistry was above and beyond. I know Elizabeth Olsen was also highly rated in Love and Death, so there's that. Juno Temple is a great actress, and Fargo is usually very well written. I don't know about Rachel Weisz in Dead Ringers, but I'm going to be honest, I think Brie Larson was fantastic in Lessons in Chemistry, so I won't be surprised if she wins that. Have you watched Lessons in Chemistry?
No, I need to watch
it's very,
them.
very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very, very, very
I mean,
good.
I'm stuck on The Office right now, so I'm feeling like I really need to get moving.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Best performance by an actor in a television series, musical or comedy. Jeremy Allen White in The Bear is always great. Justin Sudeikis in Ted Lasso, always great. I know Bill Hader, according to Joe, is fantastic in Barry. Shrinking, I had stopped. I really didn't like Shrinking. And I haven't watched Only Murders in the Building, so I can't comment about that.
Why didn't you like Shrinking? What was it about that you didn't like?
It was the thing about it felt really like production-wise. I really didn't like Shrinking. There was something about it that felt really, really cheap. It's about therapy, basically. It's about this therapist who talks to his clients, and then we see how Jimmy, who's, by the way, who's Jason Segel. Who was nominated. We see how he deals with his grief and the way he speaks to his clients. He becomes a bit more direct. There was something about the dialogue just didn't do it for me. I don't know.
And it shrunk
but
your
I know
expectations.
a lot of people are. Yes, I had very high expectations for it because there's Harrison Ford in it as well.
It's okay,
But
Harrison
I
Ford.
didn't like it.
He's one of my
But I
favorite
know
actors.
lots of people love it, so don't take my word for it.
Okay.
I'm on my own here in not liking Shrinking. Best performance by an actress in a television series, musical or comedy. Aya Dabiri, always fantastic in The Bear. Natasha Lyonne, who I loved in Poker Face. I thought Poker Face was one of the most underrated series of this year. That's all I've watched basically from this. I'd love if Natasha Lyonne wins this. I doubt she will, though. I'd imagine Rachel Brosnahan wins it for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Don't know if you have anything to say, Marisabelle.
No, that I really need to get cracking on watching more stuff.
So I too love Nope, but biased because I love horror, and for some reason I find UFOs scary, not aliens. That's Yella. That's for GTA. Oh, obviously GTA 6. I mean, lots of Florida Man moments in the GTA 6 trailer, definitely.
That's why.
Yella loved Nope, by the way, but she says she's a bit biased because she finds UFOs really scary.
Okay.
I didn't love Nope. I didn't like it at all. Best performance by an actor in a television series, which I hope will be won by Kieran Culkin, who I thought was insane in Succession. We've got Brian Cox for Succession, Kieran Culkin for Succession, and Jeremy Strong for Succession. Gary Oldman in Slow Horses is fantastic. Dominic West in The Crown is fantastic. And Pedro Pascal in The Last of Us is fantastic. But I hope Kieran Culkin wins it. I think he had a fantastic final season for Succession. There are some scenes in Succession with Kieran Culkin. Oh, I can watch them again and again. He's so good.
Is Kieran Culkin related to Macaulay Culkin?
I think so. But I might be wrong.
Okay.
I think so, but I might be wrong. I mean, they look quite similar now that I think about it.
It's not a very common surname.
And it's not a very common surname. No, I think so, because they look quite similar as well. But I don't know. I can't confirm that. Best performance by an actress in a television series. Drama. We've got Sarah Snook, who is fantastic in Succession. Bella Ramsey, who I liked. I wouldn't say I loved her interpretation in The Last of Us. Emma Stone is so good in The Curse. And Imelda Staunton is very good in The Crown, obviously, as the Queen.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to choose between the four I've watched, I would say Sarah Snook deserves this. She's absolutely fantastic in Succession. But I wouldn't be surprised if Imelda Staunton or Emma Stone takes it either. Again, Helen Mirren, great actress, and Kerry Russell, also great actress in Diplomat. I can't comment about those because I haven't watched them.
Mm-hmm.
Best television limited series, anthology series, or motion picture made for television. Beef is great. Lessons in Chemistry is great. All the Light We Cannot See, I liked, I didn't love. I know Fellow Travelers is very good, and Fargo is Fargo.
Fargo, yeah.
Daisy Jones and the Six, I can't comment because I haven't watched it. Interesting list. I'd say I think Beef wins this. I think Beef wins this.
Okay.
But again, I don't know about Fargo. I don't know how good Fargo is.
Fargo
I know Fellow
good,
Travelers is
for
very
sure.
good. It's going to be good, right?
Yeah.
So there's a big chance Fargo takes it. I think Beef was so popular, though, that's going to push it, however. I'd say that wins it, I think. But again, hard to say when you haven't watched them all. Best television series, musical or comedy. We've got The Bear, Ted Lasso, Abbott Elementary, Jury Duty, Only Murders in the Building, and Barry. Ooh, I think Barry takes this.
Okay.
In my opinion. I think Barry is so high. Abbott Elementary is also highly rated as well, but I think Barry takes this. Best television series drama, we've got Succession, The Last of Us, The Crown, Morning Show, The Diplomat, and 1923. No questions asked. Succession takes this. I don't think it's even a question mark at this point. Moving on to the movies. Best original song. We've got the Billie Eilish one, What Was I Made For? We've got another Barbie one, Dance the Night with Dua Lipa. We've got Bruce Springsteen and She Came to Me, Addicted to Romance. Road to Freedom, Lenny Kravitz and Rustin. Very good song, by the way. I quite liked Rustin. Peaches, which was in Super Mario Bros. Movie. Have you heard that song, or is it?
I'm sure, but I'm not familiar right now.
Peaches, 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 peaches. That's the song. You'll know if you've heard it. It's by Jack Black, by the way.
Oh my God, Jack Black is amazing.
Which explains why.
Obviously. Yeah.
It's a very funny song. In context of the movie, it's funny. Let's put it that way. With me singing it, obviously, forget it. And I'm Just Ken. I have no doubt that I'm Just Ken wins this. I'm Just Ken is just such a big deal in pop culture that it's going to win it.
I think Billie Eilish is a very strong artist, so whatever she does is gonna be good anyways as well. So
I love Billie Eilish.
yeah.
She's my favorite singer, I think. I would say female singer. I would put Billie Eilish up there. And I love her song. And none of you remember the scene in Barbie with What Was I Made For? I mean, that scene almost made me cry, honestly. It was such an emotional scene with that song.
I have to say, I mentioned Barbie before as well. For it to be visually strong, the storyline was a bit stressful for me because it was so real in some ways how women have it in society. The masculinist perspective towards women is kind of harshly put. It's very well made, documented, kind of. So it was not an easy movie as well.
Yes, I understand completely because watching it for me, and obviously I'm male, with the male gaze, I still found it a very, quite a difficult watch in certain scenes.
Yeah.
So I understand completely from your point of view. Best original score.
Oh
that's
my
even a
God,
question mark.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer,
Come on, man.
100%. Ludwig Göransson has got that wrapped up. To be fair, I think the Killers of the Flower Moon soundtrack is fantastic. Robbie Robertson he really generates great tension in that movie. I've heard great stuff about Zone of Interest, which I'm so excited to watch. I think that can be one of the best movies of the year. Still hasn't released in Malta. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has a fantastic soundtrack as well. Poor Things and The Boy and the Heron both haven't released in Malta, so I can't comment about that. But I mean, Ludwig Göransson's score, oh, so good. Best Screenplay. Motion Picture, we've got Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach with Barbie, Poor Things, Past Lives, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Anatomy of a Fall. I've watched pretty much all of them except for Poor Things, which hasn't released in Malta. So I would say, if I had to choose, I'd be between Anatomy of a Fall and Killers of the Flower Moon. I think they're both so fantastically written.
I would choose Oppenheimer. And going down to the best original score, I have to say, regarding Daniel Pemberton, I actually met him this summer when he was at the, I think it was him at least. I think, yeah, it was him because I just Googled him. At the festival that was organized in Valletta.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's always
nice?
fun and inspiring to hear how his process was to make music scores. Basically, he mentioned that once he was in Greece and he was at this Airbnb and the door was creaking in a certain way, and he had to have his girlfriend wait as he was recording with his phone the creaking of the door. So it's so fun how to hear the creative journey of an artist. Yeah.
And he did a great job with the Spider-Man's soundtrack. Fantastic soundtrack. With regard to best screenplay, I'd say I think Killers of the Flower Moon has the best screenplay from this list.
Okay.
But it's close. It's a close. I think Anatomy of a Fall is a close second here. That's another fantastic movie. Best Director Motion Picture: Martin Scorsese, Christopher Nolan, Greta Gerwig, Yorgos Lanthimos, Bradley Cooper, and Celine Song. I haven't. Master obviously hasn't released so far. It comes out on the 24th or 25th on Netflix. So I've heard that's going to be one of the best movies of the year.
Okay.
From the ones I've watched, I would say we have to give it to Nolan, right? Oppenheimer is just such a well-directed movie.
Yeah, I'm biased. That's why I said Oppenheimer before. I'm gonna say honestly.
Although to be fair, I would imagine Oppenheimer takes best movie. So you can give Martin Scorsese best director.
Yeah, okay, we can be nice.
But I'd say I think Christopher Nolan just does such a great job with Oppenheimer. And I loved Killers of the Flower Moon, by the way. I think I enjoyed it more than Oppenheimer. But the direction of Oppenheimer is just next level.
Yes.
Next level. Best performance by an actor in a supporting role. We've got Ryan Gosling in Barbie, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Charles Melton in May December. Oh, he's so good in May December. And a couple of Poor Things nominations, Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo. All, like, this is just a list of the
Amazing.
best actors right now.
Exactly.
Who takes it?
It's not easy to choose, and I haven't watched all of them, but I have to say, from what I have watched, at least I can say that Robert Downey Jr. did an incredible job of being the antagonist in Oppenheimer. Usually he's playing the nice guy or the guy who's cool, and in this time around he wasn't. He was the opposite of that, and it was surprising to see him do something like that, and I give him kudos for that.
I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to win this.
Really? Okay.
Yes, I think so. I think he's a favorite for this. I think
Alright.
Robert Downey Jr. wins. I loved Robert De Niro and Killers of the Flower Moon.
They're
Ryan
all
Gosling
amazing
also
actors.
fantastic. Charles Melton, I think he was absolutely pitch perfect in May December, which I reviewed last week. And Poor Things I haven't watched, hasn't released in Malta yet, so we can't comment about them. But I'd say Robert Downey Jr. wins this. Best performance by an actress in a supporting role in any motion picture. Emily Blunt. Oh, she's so good in Oppenheimer. Davine Joy Randolph, who I think will win this, by the way. Danielle Brooks in The Color of Purple, which hasn't released in Malta. Julianne Moore, who is fantastic in May, December. Jodie Foster is fantastic in Niad. And Rosamund Pike in Saltburn. Saltburn hasn't released in Malta, so I can't comment about Saltburn.
They're all amazing names as well.
All amazing names. I'd say Davine Joy Randolph wins this. The Holdovers is a great movie, by the way, Marisabelle. If you want to watch a good Christmas movie, I'd recommend The Holdovers.
So now I have
Christmas
one for
movie.
Christmas vibe. Very good.
And she's heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking performance, but really powerful performance as well by her in The Holdovers.
Is it
So
a
I'd say
sad
she wins
movie
this.
or no? Because you said it's a Christmas movie.
It's a mixture. It's got some sad moments. It's got some, heartwarming moments. It's a good combination. It's a good drama. It's a very good drama.
Makes sense. It's good to have a journey.
Yes, exactly. I would be happy with an Emily Blunt win as well for this. I loved her performance. I thought if you had to ask me whose performance did you love the most in Oppenheimer, I'd say Emily Blunt.
She was poetic in the movie, so yeah.
The moment when she doesn't take his hand, when she doesn't take Benny Safdie's hand, that scene. I could hear the cinema. I was like, yes, go for it.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Best performance by an actor in a motion picture, musical or comedy. Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. I'm so looking forward to this movie. Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, Matt Damon in Air, Joaquin Phoenix in Beau is Afraid, Timothée Chalamet in Wonka, and Nicolas Cage in Dream Scenario. Dream Scenario hasn't released in Malta, so we can't comment about it. And same thing with American Fiction. So I can only comment about Paul Giamatti, Matt Damon, Joaquin Phoenix, and Timothée Chalamet. Ooh.
It's not
I'd
easy.
say Paul Giamatti.
I mean,
Paul
even if
Giamatti,
you
I think.
haven't watched the movies, I mean, the actors are good. And the thing about Nicolas Cage, I'm a fan of Nicolas Cage. And even though his career somehow is controversial in some way because he went through this journey of doing bad movies, but doing a good job in them, despite them being bad. So I'm rooting for him to actually have some good comeback in some way, shape, or form because he really worked his ass off for it.
Yes. And I think Dream Scenario is a very good comeback for Nicolas. Because he's had other very good movies recently. Pig, for example. I loved Pig. I thought Pig was a great movie.
Yeah, he's a good actor. So, yeah.
With this list, I'd say Paul Giamatti deserves to win it. I loved Matt Damon in Air. I thought Joaquin Phoenix gave a good performance in Beau is Afraid. Timothée Chalamet was also very good in Wonka, but I'd say Paul Giamatti acts his heart out in The Holdovers. He is pitch perfect in The Holdovers. So I'd say he deserves to win that. Best performance by an actress in a motion picture. Emma Stone, Poor Things, we haven't released in Malta. Margot Robbie in Barbie. Natalie Portman in May December. Fantasia Barrino in The Color Purple. Alma Poisty in Fallen Leaves. And Jennifer Lawrence in No Hard Feelings. I haven't watched most of these movies. Natalie Portman is great in May December, though.
She is. Yeah, Natalie Portman is she's one of my favorite actors. I mean, I have to say, I am a bit biased for her. So let's see. I'm going to watch that movie for sure.
Yeah, I watch May December. It's very, very, very good. It's highly, highly rated.
Yeah.
I watched it. I loved it. I mean, it's in my, right now, spoilers for my top 10. It is in my top 10 list.
Okay.
But I'll rewatch all of them and then that'll be a separate episode. Best performance by an actress in a motion picture drama. Lily Gladstone, who I'm pretty sure is going to win this for Killers of the Flower Moon. Carey Mulligan in Maestro. Sandra Huller in Anatomy of a Fall. Annette Bening in Niad. Greta Lee in Past Lives, and Kaylee Speeney in Priscilla. I would say Lily Gladstone is a definite winner, and I think very well deserved winner as well here. Sandra Huller is also very good in Anatomy of a Fall, by the way.
I am curious what Carey Mulligan is going to show us. She's a very good actress herself. So
I'm looking forward to Maestro.
yeah.
I'm very excited for Maestro. Best performance by an actor in a motion picture, drama, Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Cillian Murphy, Leonardo DiCaprio, Colman Domingo, Andrew Scott, and Barry Keoghan.
Oh, I agree.
I need to watch Bradley Cooper because the stuff I've heard about Bradley Cooper's performance is bit perfection.
That's true.
Right now, without counting Maestro and without counting Saltburn, because I haven't watched those two, and All of Us Strangers also hasn't released in Malta. I think DiCaprio is good in Killers of the Flower Moon. I wouldn't say he was great. I think Colman Domingo was very good in Rustin, but Cillian Murphy, wow, he's wow in Oppenheimer. I think right now from the movies I've watched, I'd say Cillian Murphy. But I think after I watch All of Us Strangers, Saltburn, and Maestro, I think it's going to be Bradley Cooper.
Okay.
But I can't comment because I haven't watched it, so I can't say.
I think I have to say Cillian Murphy really went outside of his... I mean, I wouldn't say outside completely of his comfort zone, but he did challenge himself visually because he did lose a lot of weight. He did put himself into the character. We saw the journey of, from when he went to Europe and then back to America. And
Agreed.
I think he really took us with his mental state. So I think he did a good job.
Agreed. With regard to non-English language best motion picture, non-English language, I can't comment because I haven't watched most of these. Anatomy of Fall is very good, and Past Lives is very, very good. So I need to watch the rest to comment about this.
Yeah. Some marathon movie nights. It's important.
Definitely.
To be had.
Definitely. That will be for the holidays.
Yes.
Now, this is pretty much pointless because this is which movie made the most money. And obviously Barbie's going to win this. Like, it's not even a question mark.
Marketing.
Then we've got Best Motion Picture Animated. I've watched all of them except the last one, Suzume, which I think, to be honest, and The Boy and the Heron hasn't released in Malta either, so there's that. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was excellent. Such an excellent movie. Elemental was also very good. I liked it. Super Mario Bros. Movie I didn't like. Wish, I think I disliked, to be honest. So I would say from what I've watched, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse definitely deserves it. But I've heard lots of very good stuff about The Boy and the Heron and lots of very good stuff about Suzume as well. So I need to watch those two. Have you watched any of these, Marisabelle?
9. No.
Which leads us to the top 2, the best motion picture, musical or comedy. And what the hell is May December doing in this list? So just to introduce you to May December, Marisabelle, May December is the themes of May December are pedophilia. They are sexual abuse and sexual harassment. And it's about, focuses a lot on emotional manipulation.
Oh, it sounds very musical and funny.
Very funny,
I'm being sarcastic.
Very comedic topics. I have no idea what it's doing in this list.
I think they had a typo error in which they copied and pasted in the wrong bit like we do sometimes, and they didn't notice.
I mean, listen, I get why Air is here. Air is a drama. To be clear, Air is a drama by far. But it has some comedic elements. Again, I get why The Holdovers is here. It's a very dramatic movie, but it's got comedic elements. Barbie, again, I know why it's there. It's a dramatic movie. It's got very heavy themes, but it's also got comedic elements and some musical elements as well. So I get why all of those are there. I don't get why May December is there. If you had to ask me which of these is the best, May December, I think, is such a good movie. But Air is also a very good movie. I need to rewatch Air. I watched Air such a long time ago in March, so it's hard for me to comment about it. I need to just rewatch all these movies these holidays. But I think it's a competition for now between May, December, and Air, for which is the best movie from those.
Okay.
I'd say, it's tough to say. Recency bias pushes me to May, December. But I think when I watch it again, I think I'll go for Air. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Okay.
What do you think, Marisabelle?
I mean, maybe I didn't watch May December, but I'm imagining possibly it had some scores which made them think that they could fit in this category. You know, because you watched it.
Uh, I mean, it's got a very good soundtrack,
Mm.
but I mean, it's
But you
just a
wouldn't
soundtrack,
consider
right?
it as a musical. No.
No, not at all. Not at
So
all. Not at all.
no, I think it was a
It's weird.
mistake.
It's weird. Very weird. And the last one, Best Motion Picture Drama, which is obviously the most important. Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Past Lives, Zone of Interest, and Anatomy of a Fall. Now, the critic in me says Killers of the Flower Moon is the best movie from the ones I've watched, obviously. The fanboy, the Christopher Nolan fanboy in me says Oppenheimer. It's a tough one. What do you think?
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. So I wouldn't want to pick as well. I mean, I
No, I
haven't
wouldn't
watched
either.
Killers of the Flower Moon, so I cannot really say. Oppenheimer is a good. It's a very good movie. Just,
It's a very, very
I
good movie.
mean,
Indeed.
I can't wait to see what's next. Christopher Nolan is going to bring us. So yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Gun to my head. Oh, I can't say. I can't say. I'll leave that for my top 10 list podcast. Our viewers will know and listeners will know when we get to that. That will be the first week of January. Um, just came back from watching Wonka and it was honestly amazing. Kira Sword is telling us that she loved Wonka, and I agree. I loved Wonka too. By the way, that review is coming up in a bit. Marisabelle, shall we move on to the reviews? We can do Leave the World Behind. Finish that review,
Yes.
and then I can let you go because the podcast
Okay.
has gone a bit longer than planned. To
All
be
right.
honest, it went a bit longer than planned because I wasn't planning the the Golden Globes. I didn't know
Oh,
that was
okay.
coming out today, so I didn't have that planned in my obviously in my plan.
Had I known, I would
So
have watched more movies.
I had no idea it was coming out today. So we can review Leave the World Behind, and then, if you wish, you can leave because then all I have to do is review Wonka, and you haven't watched that, so
No.
but that's up to you. You can leave if you wish. So let's get into Leave the World Behind. Marisabel, I'm just going to introduce the movie really quickly, and then you're free to give your thoughts about the movie. So, Leave the World Behind is an apocalyptic psychological thriller film written, directed, and produced by Sam Esmail, based on the 2020 novel of the same name by Ruman Alam, starring Julia Roberts, who also produced the film, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, Mihala, and Kevin Bacon as they attempt to make sense of the gradual breakdown in phones, television, and technology, which points to a potential cataclysm. So, Marisabel, what did you think about Leave the World Behind?
So I think it's a very interesting movie and how it was done. For example, first and foremost, the cast. I mean, we have Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke. Amazing. They're key names. The location, setting, the props, the music tracks, the direction of photography. Um, it's all beautiful. It's the
Hmm.
camera angles. I love the composition. It's so artistic. I think this movie shows us what it is like to prepare well for the end results in terms of presentation. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I did check onto the novel. I actually found out that Ruth, that visits the house together with with George, actually
Hmm.
in the novel is supposed to be the wife. So I'm curious as to why they
Oh, okay.
decided to have her as the daughter in the movie.
Interesting, interesting, interesting.
That was an interesting thing. So why the character shift? Why did they thought it would be more interesting? Is that then what I really found interesting about this movie is how all the characters are very different from each other, and they have very different perspective and attitude towards the situation at hand. But at the same time, you find yourself empathizing with all of them because they kind of all have a point to their concerns and their actions. Even with the least favorite, Ruth at one point, she was being on purpose, being difficult, but then you understood why, because she was
Yes.
scared. She was scared that she was going to be treated badly, possibly because of the fact that she thought that possibly Amanda right? The actress,
Mm-hmm.
the character that Julia Roberts was acting as.
Amanda Sanford. Yeah.
Yes, she was scared possibly that she would be treated with less respect. Who knows? So you kind of empathize with all of them, even though at certain points you might not like them. And then, so in that respect, I did enjoy it. Then the takeaway, I think, if I may go into deep, is that basically in times of crisis, um, I think it's very human that people act in a way that each to their own, and that, and then the story goes in. But if we get together, we're gonna be stronger, and that's how in fact, they get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have to say, because I discussed this with my friends, um, may I bring up the ending with you? May I?
Yes,
Yes.
100%. So, viewers and listeners, if you haven't watched Leave the World Behind, I would put the video on silent for just a couple of minutes. We're going to get into spoilers, and then obviously join us when you see that Leave the World Behind screen has gone, basically, and then join us for the final review of Wonka. So, Marisabelle, get into spoilers.
So basically, the ending, I think the ending was interesting because what was being discussed with my friends is basically the ending wasn't spoon-fed and it wasn't clear. So in that way, because it wasn't clear, it ended up like this immediately. Like when it was like almost artistic enough in a way that it finished at the moment in which the girl was watching what she was wanting to watch was Friends. Finally, she succeeded. That was her priority. It wasn't the fact that
Mm-hmm.
that the world was ending. Um, but at the same time, I guess I understood that the director didn't want to guide us into what the ending was going to be. I
Mm-hmm.
understood that basically, seeing that the father, Clay, together with GH, were going to return back with the information from the neighbor, from the contractor, that they should go to Danny's. Then I understood that they were going to Danny's,
Mm-hmm.
and having also the mother was close to the house of Danny's, so they would have found the bike in the front garden. So I think that the eventual reunion between the family would have happened, and that they didn't want to give us the ending that would be like obvious. Having said
Mm-hmm.
that, though, while it was not obvious, it was also a bit sudden, and maybe it could have been a bit a few seconds longer with more information,
Mm-hmm.
because it was a bit too sudden, and in fact, it was felt a bit weird, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you want to add, Marisabel?
No, I'm curious what you have to say.
All right. So I have a few notes here I took whilst I was watching it. First of all, visually beautifully shot. Man, the visuals in this are great. I think even the CGI. I was surprised how good the CGI was. There's that scene with the oil tanker, which I thought was really well done, and that was almost quite a scary scene as well. There's some nice horror elements in this movie. It's not obviously it's not a horror; it's a drama. It's a drama movie, but there are some nice little touches of horror here and there. And the director himself, Sam Esmail, he's a fantastic director. He's done Mr. Robot. I don't know if you've watched that series. I haven't watched it, so I can't comment about Mr. Robot. But I've heard he does some great visual stuff there. And same thing here, like the camera panning. He loves his panning shots. There are some scenes where he does basically a 180-degree turn with his camera, which are actually really impressive. So there's some good stuff there. Even the writing, I like the writing a lot as well in this movie. I thought that the dialogue between the characters, especially between Mahershala Ali's character G.H. Scott and Amanda Sanford and Ethan Hawke's character Clay, and the daughter, obviously Ruth. I think the dialogue between them was crisp, was well done, and even the scene with Kevin Bacon later on with Danny, that scene was so well written, really realistic as well. Like you said, this is how I expect people would act
Mhm,
if we were in an end of the world kind of situation.
mhm,
So that is all really well done. something else that really scared me about this movie. I don't know if you know, Marisabelle, but this was produced by Barack Obama's production company,
Okay.
Barack and Michelle Obama's production company, Higher Ground. So they actually communicated with the director and the writer of this movie on what are kind of like some of the possibilities with regard to end of the world stuff. And this is like a former US president giving advice to the writers. So like this really scared me in its post-apocalyptic elements, kind of.
I see your point, and I think it's a valid point. At the same time, considering that I know that Michelle and Barack Obama's daughter, she's into film as well. So a part of me is slightly, is slightly. I mean, I'm slightly jealous that they actually created a production company just because their daughter possibly is into film. So I'm like, I have to do this from my ground up myself for the stuff.
Exactly. Themes, with regard to themes, I would say, obviously, we start off with quite a lot of social commentary, right? With obviously we've got the whole element of race. When Amanda meets Mahershala Ali's character, she clearly doesn't believe him and his daughter, and she even questions him, "Where is your wife?" Which is obviously a very racist thing to ask, because obviously there's the insinuation that it's a person of color who has left his wife. So that's propagating kind of like this whole idea of persons of color, male persons of color leaving their wives. So obviously this movie starts off tackling that element of race and even of class, because obviously we've got the whole element of class here as well in this. There's an upstairs, downstairs element. I thought tackled this really well. But then obviously the movie becomes into the what would happen if scenario, which is basically what would happen if basically the world comes to a halt, right? And America is attacked in I think, very interesting fashion. Not the usual, like, bombs falling down onto a country. And that I think that what would happen if scenario is shown really well in that Kevin Bacon scene, the scene where they go meet Danny and ask him for medical supplies. And I think that scene was, first of all, very well acted. In fact, I think Mahershala Ali in this is fantastic. Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke also are very good, and great chemistry there. But I think in that scene, seeing the way Kevin Bacon's character reacts to Mahershala Ali and Ethan Hawke's character, and juxtaposing that, contrasting that with the way Mahershala Ali acts when he sees Ethan Hawke and Julia Roberts' character arriving, it's a great contrast there, because in one case, obviously, you've got Kevin Bacon, who believes kind of like everyone has to survive on their own. It's protect your family, and like everyone else can do whatever they want. It's not my responsibility. Mahershala Ali's character, on the other hand, was happy to help Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke's family. So I think that's a great contrast there. And like you said, it's like working together could lead to a positive future, right? In this kind of scenario. So I think this movie tackles that really well. The tone also was great in this movie. I thought the tone was so good. There's this feeling of dread creeping throughout the whole movie, which really, really, really impressed me. Like, the tone in this was one of the best elements. Great stuff, really good stuff. So overall, I was very... Also, I don't know if you noticed, Marisabelle, the sound design and the soundtrack were so good.
Amazing.
Such great sound design on this. I was so happy to be listening to this on my Dolby Surround sound system, because the effects were stunning stuff. Really, really good stuff. And the soundtrack really helped elevate the tension in this movie really well. So I'd say great sound design and soundtrack.
If I may backtrack one point you made, basically you said that you were making a comparison of Kevin Bacon's character to Mahershala Ali's character, and the different mindsets of individualism and community. And I think it's a very interesting take. First and foremost, I think both have their own positive points and negatives. because there's no black and white in terms of what is right, what is wrong. They're both right and wrong at the same time. For example, in the case of individualism of Kevin Bacon's, he was right, and the contractor was right that to each to their own, because you don't know who you can trust. Someone can backstab you in that case. I have watched some apocalyptic movies. I didn't live through it, thankfully. And I don't want to.
We did kind of live through it with COVID.
COVID, yeah. In fact, that's why we had the quarantine and everything. But basically, this element of needing to look out for your own is very key, because you don't know who could try to hurt you behind your back for their own selfish needs, and it's very human to have your selfish needs wanting to be met before others. At the same time, Marshall Ali's G.H. Scott character shows us how when we unite and when we have the same purpose, and we bond together for it and work together for it, then we have hope, a stronger hope, because you can then achieve getting to that goal better. I think in order to achieve that, you need to have a group of people who trust each other, a group of people who know they have each other's back. And that is something that is not easy as well to achieve. So it's a matter of finding that bond, that trust in society, to know that we're all going to do our bit. And this is a good commentary towards even now, even in a non-apocalyptic situation. And we can take it to the contemporary state, even in Malta. Maybe we can be less selfish and be more community-oriented to the better end of our situation. Yes.
100% agreed. 100% agreed. Don't know if you have anything else to add about this movie. Any negatives? I agree with you. The ending was, I'm not 100% convinced with the ending. I would say also there are some pacing issues. Maybe some moments where the movie like drags on just a tad bit.
I agree.
Also, I it's a negative, but it's actually a positive, right? I want to see more now. I want to know what happens like after the movie ends. What's next? What comes next? I really want to leave the world behind too. I'm not the biggest fan of sequels, but in this case, we're left wanting more, I believe, which is, I guess, a good thing. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, to be honest. What do you think?
Possibly, maybe 5 years later. So at least we would
exactly.
see something different.
Exactly. If I had to ask you, Marisabelle, for a rating out of 5 for Leave the World Behind, what do you think?
I don't know, because I love it on many aspects. Just the ending wasn't perfect, I have to say. But it's maybe, I think 6.6 out of 10, as I'm seeing from IMDb, is a good rating. I think it's okay. All right. I can stick with that.
Okay, I'm a bit more positive. I'm actually at a 4 out of 5 for it. Right. I'd say an 8 out of 10. 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I thought very, very well performed. Visually great stuff. Just the ending. I wouldn't say I didn't like the ending. Just I wasn't 100% convinced by it.
That's same. Yes.
And the pacing issues. Yes, there are some pacing issues in it. But overall, I think it's a very well made movie. Looking forward to seeing more by this director, S.M. Ismail. He does a really good job with this movie. So yeah, that is our review for Netflix's Leave the World Behind. Now, Marisabelle, if you wish to leave and go and have something to eat or rest, you're welcome to do so. I still have my review for Wonka.
I'm curious what you have to say about Wonka. I don't mind the spoiler, so I can join you.
No, I'm not going to spoil anything. No, I'm not, because Wonka just released, so I won't say spoilers.
No, I will stick it through, don't worry.
Okie dokies. So let's move on to the final movie of the day. By the way, viewers and listeners, let us know in the comment section below. Have you watched Leave the World Behind on Netflix? And if you have, let us know what you thought about it. And with that, let's move on to our review. For Wonka, I went to watch Wonka on Friday. It is a musical fantasy film directed by Paul King. Paul King, who is obviously famous for his Paddington movies, who co-wrote the screenplay with Simon Farnaby, based on a story by also Paul King. The movie tells the origin story of Willy Wonka, a character in the 1964 novel Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, obviously by Roald Dahl. Coincidentally, I'm starting that book with my students in January.
Oh, how cool.
And yeah, and features his early days as a chocolatier. Obviously, the movie stars Timothée Chalamet, who we saw was nominated for Best Actor in a musical, in the title role, along with newcomer Calla Lane, who, by the way, spoiler for my review, Calla Lane is the I don't know if she's here. Oh, there she is. As Noodle, she is so good. She's really great. And an ensemble cast including Keegan Michael Key, Rowan Atkinson, Olivia Colman, and Hugh Grant. Some of my favorite actors and actresses are in this movie. And with that, let's get to the positives, because there are a lot of positives for this movie. First of all, we have to mention Paul King. Paul King is a fantastic director. I actually haven't watched the Paddington movies. I've watched the first Paddington movie, like half of it. I still need to continue it. But I mean, from what I've seen here from Wonka, this is great stuff. Such a well-directed movie. It's actually a musical. I didn't even know this was a musical. Like, I went into this movie with not a clue that this was a musical, but actually it's a full-blown musical, like non-stop songs. But like the direction here, the composition, it's all really well done. Like, really, 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 really great stuff. So great direction by Paul King. I would say another great thing I loved about this movie is its tone. It's the complete opposite of Leave the World Behind. Basically, it's very whimsical, very magical, very like it's a musical, right? It's a happy tone, very positive tone. It's just a joy watching this movie. Like, honestly, I had a smile on my face throughout the whole movie. I had such a good time watching it, and what I loved about it is not just how positive the whole movie is, how fun it all is, but how kind of like how creative the visuals are showcasing the stone, right? The visuals are showcased so well in this movie. And I think it's really, really well done. Now, let's talk about the whole musical element, right? Because last week I watched Wish, which I thought had some of the most boring songs I've heard in a long time in a movie. Um, um, Here, the songs aren't all great. Let's be honest, not all the songs are great in Wonka, but the majority I think are really well done. And I think Timothée Chalamet showcases that he's a true musical, he's a true theater kid, and shows off a pretty decent voice, to be honest. And apart from obviously his decent voice, Chalamet, no need to say, great charisma and great charm. I mean, that I think is not news to anyone. So Chalamet really pulls it off here, and you quickly empathize with his character. He does a great job in making us love his character, Willy Wonka, and we kind of get behind what he wants to achieve in this movie. And I think he does such a great job here. Moving on to other performances, I think Olivia Colman, who is one of my favorite actresses, is having such a good time in this movie. I think Hugh Grant, whilst apparently he hated his time on this movie, he is very funny. I think his role as an Oompa Loompa is fantastic. He also has a couple of good Oompa Loompa songs as well, which I loved. But like I said, my standout was Calla Lane. The fact that Calla Lane is consistently toe to toe, acting toe to toe with Timothée Chalamet, and not 1 second was I like, wow, like it shows that we got Chalamet, a great actor, and this new debutante in this movie. Not once did I think that she has such a presence in this movie. I was really impressed by her. So I as far as I know, this is her debut in a movie, obviously, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing her again in a movie, because she has such a presence. She has a great presence in this movie. Um, that's more or less it. I think the humor also works really well. Not all the humor works, but most of the humor I think is well done in this movie. Um, Also, the movie is very over the top. Don't get into this thinking you're going to watch some kind of like realistic movie. It's all very magical, very over the top. Um, some of the characters are a bit too over the top, but more or less, I think it's all done with I mean, good elements of humor in it, especially the antagonists. The antagonists are quite funny.
I have a
Um,
question.
yes, Marisabelle.
As someone who hasn't watched it, possibly speaking for who also haven't watched it, so I'm imagining this is a family movie. Would you say that people who, like myself, would go and watch it, not necessarily with my kids because I don't have, basically would enjoy it as much as the kid, the 9-year-old kid?
Listen, I'm a 30-year-old.
So yes.
I criticize movies consistently. I wouldn't say I watch every movie that comes out, but I watch almost all the movies that come out, good and bad. And this is one of the best movies of the year. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay. Wow.
This is one of not. It's hard for me to say one of the best. One of my favorite movies of the year. Let me put it
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
It's a very well made movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's just so fun to watch. So much fun to watch, and I think families will enjoy it. I think if you're someone who grew up reading the book, reading the Roald Dahl book, watching the movies, watching the classic, obviously Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder, watching obviously then growing up and watching the other Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Which, here I'm talking
I
about
have watched that
obviously
as a kid.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, obviously with Johnny Depp,
Yeah.
directed by Tim Burton. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I think it's quite a creepy movie. I much prefer, obviously, the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder. Much bigger fan of this. But honestly, if you're a fan of this style of Willy Wonka, you're going to love Wonka.
Okay.
You're going to love Wonka, because Wonka is heavily inspired by this version of Willy Wonka, not
Not this one.
Johnny Depp Willy Wonka, completely different version.
Okay.
But yes, if you are 60 years old, if you are 30 years old, if you're 10 years old, I think you should go and watch this movie.
Okay.
By the way, Triple X coming in and saying that he hasn't watched Leave the World Behind, but will be doing so in the coming days. Thanks for the recommendation. My pleasure. I live to recommend movies, good movies to people, not bad movies. I warn you when it's a bad movie, like with Wish last week, for example. But again, and with regard to Wonka, I highly recommend people go watch this movie. I hope it does well in the box office. I think it's a great movie. There's a lot of heart and love put into this movie, and you can really tell. One last couple of things I wanted to mention before I conclude this review. Production design is beautiful. I think the sets are really, really well done in this movie. I think it's a great job with the sets. Very colorful, bright. I love the bright colors. So good not to see that. Oh, I hate that yellowish tinge that so many directors like to put onto their movies. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. With regard to negatives, not much to say here, but I would say that, I mean, the plot for what it is does its job, but it's nothing to write home about. It's a very basic plot. There are some weak songs here and there, and I didn't feel this way, but I can imagine some people find it a bit too silly at times. But I accepted the tone for what it was. I fell in love with the tone, and I was fine with everything. But I'm sure if you go in trying to be super critical, you might find it a bit too silly at times, and it is a bit too silly at times. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I found it very fun. Overall rating for Wonka is definitely a good, very good 4 out of 5. I think it's one of my favorite movies of the year. Well done to Timothée Chalamet and to Paul King for completely surprising me, because my expectations for this movie were very low. But I loved it. Marisabelle, that brings us to the end of this podcast. First of all, I'd like to thank, obviously, all our viewers and listeners for joining us on this podcast. I hope you had a very good time joining us. Marisabelle, I'm excited for tomorrow.
Same.
Obviously, tomorrow we have Video Nasties Resurrected. We'll be showing all the Video Nasties shorts, Q&A after the shorts. I spoiled most of the questions, so you know what I'm going to ask you tomorrow, Marisabelle.
I'm prepared now. That's good. And for who is following, tomorrow we're going to be at Eden. We have the showing. There are still a few tickets left, so if you are available, do come. The showing is at 8:30 p.m. And you're going to be seeing a bunch of exciting short movies done by local filmmakers who are passionate about creating the art of storytelling in a visual format. And there is some really, really exciting stuff, of which my friends have made as well. So please do come if you are passionate and interested about movies, especially locally. I think we should speak more about local creative talent, especially supported, as you were mentioned before, regarding funding. We need to get more funding out for local stuff. I, for one, have lots of script ideas, and I would like to see them in feature length one day. Who knows? All right,
Great
so that's
stuff.
about it.
Marisabelle, if our viewers and listeners want to follow you, where can they do that?
Well, I do have an IMDb, and I also have Instagram. So every now and then I do post something. That's all.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So thank you, Marisabelle, for joining us. You were very, very good fun. Great stuff. I really enjoyed having this podcast with you. And thank you, obviously, to our viewers and listeners for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. As always, guys, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Majority of our viewers are not subscribed. Please do subscribe. That helps the algorithm.
I have three
like,
accounts. I will
comment.
subscribe in all of them.
Oh, nice. Like, comment, share this with your family and friends. Let them know how much you love the Adlib podcast. And any feedback, please let us know in the comment section below. And with that, we can end the podcast. Marisabelle, I am tired. I'm exhausted. I need to recover my voice for tomorrow. I have lessons. And obviously, I have the Q&A tomorrow evening. So I need to rest my voice.
Yes.
So with that, I bid all our viewers and listeners farewell. Thank you, Marisabelle, for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
And with that,
Thanks, Andrea.
peace
Bye.
out.